Chapter 45-43. Universe Domain. Ji Laosher's eyes flickered. He had already monitored Dong Hanzong's universe domain in the 4 great continents. In a one-on-one battle, even the 3,000 incarnations were unable to break through the universe domain. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes and laughed. "It's just a joke, why are you so nervous?" With that, Ji Laosher turned off the 3,000 incarnations. The emperor couple, Dong Qingyuan, Kuanpang, and the dragon god couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. If this group of old men were to really cause trouble, only the power of origin would be able to suppress them. Needless to say, Dong Liming and the others. There was no battle, but they all felt like they had survived a disaster. Senior is wise, junior admires. If I have offended you before, I hope Senior can forgive me. Dong Hanzong smiled slightly and also closed the universe domain. In his heart, he was very proud. So what if he was an old antique of the purple-gold divine dragon clan? In the face of his universe domain, didn't he still have to behave himself? Magnanimous? The corner of Ji Laosher's mouth lifted, with a smile of a scheme that had succeeded, and said, "Do you think this old man is such a magnanimous person?" Boom! The 3,000 incarnations were activated again. A terrifying aura surged towards Dong Hanzong. Puff! Dong Hanzong was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. He flew out of the hall and heavily smashed into the mountain outside. "Ji Laosher, what are you doing?" This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Lu Jiajin and the inner demons. They didn't expect Ji Laosher to attack again. "As long as my cultivation is still there, my 3,000 incarnations can be activated infinitely, but your universe domain can only be activated once a day. Just now, I was just tricking you to close the universe domain. Do you really think this old man is afraid of you? You're still too inexperienced to be so arrogant with this old man." Ji Laosher sneered. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Lu Jiajin smiled bitterly. Even he thought that Ji Laosher chose to endure because he was afraid of Dong Hanzong, but he didn't expect that it was just a trick to trick Dong Hanzong to close the universe domain. As soon as these words came out, whether it was the emperor or Dong Qingyuan and the other two, their faces were extremely ugly. They were all fooled by this old man. Dong Liming and the other 9 also became nervous. Although this group of old people did not have the same status as them, every single one of them was an existence that made one's scalp tingle. "You are despicable." Dong Hanzong angrily rushed out into the main hall. His face was covered in dirt, and he was in an extremely sorry state. "You're wrong. This is the mind. You have to use your brain when doing things." Ji Laosher laughed disdainfully. This was equivalent to mocking Dong Hanzong for not thinking before doing things. This was a grudge between their purple-gold divine dragon clan and the 10 great direct descendant clans. What did a branch family member like you come here to flaunt your might for? Don't you know that the bird that sticks out gets shot? Dong Hanzong clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with anger. Right now, he felt that he was like a monkey being played around by the other party. Scram! The current you can no longer stop this old man. If you dare to continue, then don't blame this old man for being merciless. Killing intent surged in old Ji's eyes. Dong Hanzong instinctively took a step back. Without the universe domain, he would lose the ability to fight against Ji Laosher. However, just as he retreated, he regretted it. How could he show such a cowardly side in front of the emperor couple? To become the emperor couple's son-in-law, no matter what, he had to have courage and courage. Retreating in the face of danger, who would fancy such a useless person? He glanced at the emperor couple. His heart was extremely nervous. He was afraid that his previous performance would disappoint the emperor couple. But he didn't know that this was just his wishful thinking. The emperor couple didn't even pay attention to him. Because the problem that the couple was thinking about now was how to solve the current problem. And, Ji Laoshi also ignored him. The 3,000 clones unleashed a terrifying aura, like a torrent, rushing towards Dong Liming's group. Don't go too far. This is the Central Dynasty. Dong Liming roared. We're going too far. How can you have the face to say that? Ji Laoshi raged, his 3,000 clones law power surging. Seeing Ji Laoshi about to attack, the emperor frowned and prepared to intervene. But at this moment, Ji Sui reached out and stopped the emperor. Ji Sui only shook her head in response to the emperor's confusion. Then, she waved her hand, and origin power appeared. The emperor trio, old Ji, and the elders all looked at Ji Sui, thinking she was going to use origin power to suppress Ji Laoshi. But the next moment, a shocking scene unfolded. Ji Sui waved her hand, and the origin power turned into a barrier, covering everyone inside. Does this mean she's admitting we're going to settle the score with Dong Liming's group? Ji Laoba asked. I don't know. Ji Laojiu shook his head. Ji Sui's strange behavior was hard to fathom. But, Ji Laoshi was a hot-tempered person, but he didn't think that far. Seeing the barrier, he threw all his worries to the back of his mind, and unleashed his ultimate meaning. Before, he seemed impulsive, but he did have some concerns. Because this was the imperial capital mountain. If he attacked without holding back, the mountain would be destroyed. The emperor would be furious. But now, with the barrier formed by the origin energy, it could isolate all the fluctuations of the battle. Naturally, he could attack without restraint. When Dong Liming saw this scene, his eyes couldn't help but darken. You forced me to do this. As his gloomy words fell, the pinnacle sovereign weapon, Thor's hammer, appeared. Its terrifying aura engulfed the entire barrier. Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, the heavenly dragon god, and Kuan Peng retreated from the barrier at the same time. You guys leave as well. Ji Laojiu looked at the emperor trio. Why are you telling me to leave? I can stay and help you guys. The emperor was confused. If the divine kings and the human race's supremes were to retreat, it would be pardonable. After all, this was a personal grudge between the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan and the 10 great clans. But the emperor, as a descendant of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, sought revenge on the 10 great clans. This was his duty, and his duty. He had never thought of avoiding this responsibility. You're the emperor. Your status is different. Don't get involved. Ji Jiu said without turning his head. But, the emperor wanted to say something. But Ji Jiu suddenly turned his head and glared at the emperor. The emperor shrunk his neck and could only obediently follow the divine king and the human sovereign out of the barrier. You want to turn the tables with just one pinnacle sovereign weapon? Dream on. Ji Laoshi laughed with murderous intent. And us. Dong Jinxiang and the others took a step forward and landed beside Dong Liming. Terrifying sovereign's aura erupted from their bodies. Obviously, all of them had their own guardian artifacts as well. In other words, they had 10 pinnacle sovereign weapons. 10 pinnacle dominator divine weapons, how impressive. Ji Laoshi's voice sounded. Boom. In the next moment, more than a dozen old men activated their 3,000 clones. Terrifying auras surged out like a tide. Not to mention Dong Liming and the others, even their pinnacle sovereign weapons couldn't help but tremble. 15 old men, there were a total of 45,000 clones. If they all activated their ultimate intents, even if each of them only had 6 ultimate intents, there would be hundreds of thousands of them. Not to mention, Ji Laoshi and the others had basically mastered 7 ultimate intents of the strongest laws. Facing such a terrifying lineup, who dared to fight? Kneel down and repent. The group of old men's eyes were cold and fierce. The powerful pressure made Dong Liming and the others' legs go soft and tremble. Their pride didn't allow them to kneel down. Because it was a disgrace. As one of the 10 main families of the Dong clan, how could they kneel down to outsiders? But, the pressure of 45,000 clones was too terrifying. Plop. Dong Liming and the others knelt on the ground one by one. Their faces were pale. They wanted to stand up. But they couldn't. This pressure was like a towering mountain pressing down on their heads, almost suffocating them. They're kneeling, they're really kneeling, Dong Qingyuan murmured and turned to look at the emperor and empress. Your Majesty, Empress, they're the patriarchs of the 10 main families. How can they kneel to outsiders? That's right. Your Majesty, Empress, please take action and suppress these old things. Show the central dynasty's might and make an example out of them. Kuanpeng and Dragon God also spoke. But the Emperor and Empress turned a deaf ear. In fact, the Emperor wanted to take action. Because as the Emperor of the Central Dynasty, he couldn't tolerate the purple gold dragon's wanton behavior in the Central Dynasty. Especially in the Imperial Palace. But, Ji Sui stopped him before because she didn't want him to intervene. Sui, what are you doing? Seeing Ji Sui's indifference, the Emperor couldn't help but ask. Calm down. Ji Sui replied. She looked at Ji Laosher and the others, then at Dong Liming and the others. This woman, it's really hard to fathom. Lu Jiajin was also observing Ji Sui. But, he had always been observant, but he couldn't see through this woman. It was as if she was covered in a veil. No matter what she wants to do. The patriarchs of the 10 main families will lose face today. The inner demons snickered inside. Given the pride and dignity of the 10 great direct descendant clans, kneeling in front of the purple gold divine dragon clan could be described as a great humiliation to them. It wasn't just humiliation. Dong Liming and the others felt despair. Even though, they had peak dominator weapons, but they didn't feel safe. It was as if the 15 old men in front of him were 15 unreachable mountains. You should rejoice. If not for the origin separating the Central Dynasty from the 4 continents, preventing us from entering the Central Dynasty, you'd all be dead. How would you have the chance to live in the Central Dynasty for so many years? So, now, go to hell and atone for the mistakes you've made back then. Ji Laosher cackled. Tens of thousands of ultimates erupted with terrifying will of the heavenly way. Then, he charged toward the 10 people. Chapter 45-44. Your Majesty, Empress, Sister. The 10 looked at the royal couple in despair. One of them was the most eye-catching. Sister. In other words, that voice belonged to Ji Sui's brother. Brother and sister, was there even a need to explain their relationship? Ji Sui wouldn't let her brother die at the hands of Boss Ji and the others. So now, Ji Sui finally reacted, sending her origin power to the ultimate essences. But in an instant, Ji Laosher's tens of thousands of ultimate essences turned to dust. Ji Laosher raised an eyebrow and glared at Ji Sui with displeasure. Ji Sui smiled faintly. Seniors, they are all kneeling. You should feel better. If it were up to me, I'd say this ends here. Then, a cold light flashed in her eyes as she added with a smile, don't push your luck too far. Her voice was calm, but it was filled with a bone-chilling coldness. Boss Ji's pupils shrank as he stopped the furious Ji Laosher. Laosher, this woman is very shrewd. Know when to stop. Heard. Ji Laosher clenched his fists and suppressed his anger. That's right. Wouldn't it be nice if we all stayed in harmony? Ji Sui smiled. The origin power's barrier collapsed and returned to her body. The reason why she had been sitting back and doing nothing was to let Boss G and the others vent their frustrations. Because if this resentment was not vented, sooner or later, it would cause even greater internal strife. The Central Dynasty couldn't afford another civil war. So, she had to take care of these conflicts now. She knew Dong Liming and the others. It was impossible to make them kneel. So, she let it go. As long as she could stabilize the situation, Dong Liming and the others would sacrifice their pride and kneel before the elders. It was worth it. In short, everything was under her control. If Ji Laoshi and the others insisted on making a scene, she wouldn't be polite. Because the words, "Don't push your luck," represented her determination. Phew. Boss Ji took a deep breath and turned off his 3,000 clones. He looked up at the Emperor. "Your Majesty, don't forget your blood oath. I am the Emperor. My words are imperial edicts." The Emperor said flatly. "All right." Boss G nodded and looked at the others. Everyone turned off their clones and retreated. This caused everyone present to heave a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Dong Liming and the other 9 got up slowly and suppressed the fear in their hearts. They looked at Boss G and the others with hatred in their eyes. Of course. They weren't going to let this go. "Grandpa, I was really worried that you guys would recklessly kill them on impulse." The king looked at Boss G and said with a bitter smile. "Kid, do you think we're senile fools? The Emperor and his wife both have the power of origin. How can we fall out with them? But you must be careful of this Ji Sui." Boss G instructed in his mind. "I know." The monarch nodded and glanced at Ji Sui. She was going to be harder to deal with than the king. Let's get back to business. Ji Sui returned to her seat and smiled at the Emperor. "Your Majesty, I promised the elders that when we arrived in the Central Dynasty, I would give each of them a strand of origin." "What?" The Emperor was shocked. "How could you give away origin so easily?" Ji Sui transmitted, "If we want to kill Qin Feiyang and the others, we can't do that without origin. We need to at least give them something to protect themselves." "All right, you promised them. If you go back on your word, it'll damage the royal family's reputation." The Emperor nodded. With a wave of his hand, 18 strands of origin appeared before Boss G and the others. Boss G and the others didn't hesitate and took them. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Kuan Peng, and Dragon God were envious. Because even they didn't get a single strand of origin. Especially Dong Liming and the others. Seeing the monarch and the others get a strand of origin, they were furious. Because they still wanted to take revenge. But now, these people all had origin. How were they supposed to get revenge? They were already at their wits' end with just the 3,000 clones, not to mention the fact that there was also the origin energy. What were the Emperor and his wife thinking? How could they give away such powerful origin to outsiders? This treatment is different. The inner demons shook his head and sighed. There's no helping it. Who told them to be invited by Ji Sui herself? Lu Jiajin smiled inside. To be honest, he was envious. Ji Sui said, "One more thing. While they're in the Central Dynasty, we can't interfere with their freedom. That's a small matter." The Emperor waved his hand. "Finally. I suggest that we give everyone here a strand of source energy to protect themselves." Ji Sui said. Dong Qingyuan and the others were excited. Especially Dong Liming and the others. As long as they had origin to protect themselves, they wouldn't have to worry about being ambushed. They knew very well that Boss G and the others wouldn't let them off so easily even if they wanted to take revenge. And with the origin energy, their chances of revenge would be greater. Yes. This time. The Emperor didn't hesitate. He took out a dozen strands of origin and gave them to Dong Qingyuan and the others. This was the difference. When he heard Ji Sui say to give origin to the monarch and the others, he wasn't too happy about it. But now, when he heard Dong Qingyuan and the others were to be given origin, he didn't hesitate. What a straightforward answer. At the same time, Lu Jiajin and the inner demons received a strand of origin. But they didn't care about a single strand of origin. Because if they wanted it, they could go to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang and the others had a large amount of origin. What was 1 or 2 strands missing? Plus, in the face of such a battle, what use would a single strand of source energy be? It was only for self-defense. Now, with the monarch, the divine king, and the supreme as reinforcements, the central dynasty's power has increased. From now on, focus on tracking Qin Feiyang and the others. We'd rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. Ji Sui said. Her tone was so cold that it sent a chill down everyone's spine. Yes. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, the dragon god, and the Kunpeng all answered. Sister. There's one more important thing. Save Mingho and the others. The Ji clan leader looked at Ji Sui. Yes. His Majesty said you should make the decision. You have to think this through. Because aside from Ji Mingho, the other children are your nieces and nephews. Dong Liming, Dong Jinxiang, and the others spoke in a hurry, their eyes begging. Ji Sui rubbed her forehead. She couldn't avoid this. The king sat to the side, watching Ji Sui leisurely. Fortunately, he was smart. He pushed the responsibility to his wife. Otherwise, he'd be the one rubbing his forehead right now. Ji Sui's silence made the Ji clan leader speak. Sister, if you don't care, I'll have to go to the old man. You know how much he loves Mingho. If he learns of this, he'll be furious. Ji Sui frowned and looked at the Ji clan leader, annoyed. Brother, don't use the old man to pressure me. You know me. If I make a decision, the old man can't interfere. Hearing this, the Ji family patriarch's body stiffened, and his face turned ugly. Sui, we're family. Why are you so angry? And there's no point in being angry. We have to deal with this eventually. Dong Liming and the others spoke. Do you really want to save them? Ji Sui looked at the group and asked. They all fell silent. But the meaning was clear. Do you know how important this is? 100,000 strands of origin is not a small number. Back then, when Father left the Divine Kingdom, he only gave me and His Majesty 2 million strands of origin energy in total. Ji Sui spoke in a low voice. That much? The inner demons and Lu Jiajin were shocked. The monarch, the Divine King, Supreme, Boss Ji, and the others couldn't stay calm. If they knew the emperor and his wife had so much origin, they would have asked for more. Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, Dragon God, and Kunpeng couldn't stay calm either. This number was far beyond their wildest imaginations. 2 million strands of origin? Seeing how stingy you are, I thought it was only 200,000. 2 million strands of origin. Even if you gave Qin Feiyang another 100,000 strands, what's the big deal? The Ji clan leader was furious. If there were only 200,000 or 300,000 strands of origin, it'd be understandable if they refused to help. But with 2 million, 100,000 strands was just a drop in the bucket. How big of a deal could it be? It seems 2 million strands of origin is a lot. But back in Myriad Demons Valley, to save the Moon Immortal, 1/3 of my 1 million strands of origin was taken by Qin Feiyang. Moreover, I lost quite a lot of origin energy during the battle. As for His Majesty's origin, back then, he gave the Moon Immortal 200,000 strands of origin to protect herself, but they were destroyed by the madman's all-evil sword in Myriad Demons Valley. Even worse. When Qin Batian attacked Imperial Capital Mountain, His Majesty lost 300,000 strands of origin. In addition, in order to protect the Imperial Capital Mountain, your cities, and your clansmen's lands, His Majesty has consumed a lot of origin energy. Right now, His Majesty's 1 million strands of origin energy should only be left with about 300,000 strands at most. Even with the origin I have, he only has 1 million strands left. Do you really think giving Qin Feiyang 100,000 strands of origin won't affect us? You know. When they obtain another 100,000 streams of origin energy, they will have over 400,000 streams of origin energy in their hands. In addition to their fighting souls, the all-evil sword, and the Eye of Heaven, I can't help but feel my scalp go numb just thinking about it. Ji Sui said in a low voice. Chapter 45-45. The most important thing is Qin Batian. The Emperor's gaze was heavy as he stared at the group of clan leaders. The source energy in Qin Batian's hands is even stronger compared to ours. If we don't have enough source energy, we wouldn't be his opponent at all. That's right. 100,000 strands of origin may not seem like much, but in times of crisis, it can be very useful. Ji Sui nodded. She meant she didn't want to save them. Why? When I gave your daughter 200,000 strands of origin to protect herself, I gave her 200,000 strands. But now, for 10 lives, I want 100,000 strands of origin, yet you refuse. Are these 10 children's lives not half as important as your daughter's? The house heads glared at the couple. If they didn't know, they would have felt better. Just for protection, Princess Yuxian was given 200,000 strands of origin, while the other house heads didn't even have 1 strand of origin. But now, they only wanted 100,000 strands of origin to save lives. It was to save lives, nothing else, yet they refused. They were all descendants of the Dong and Ji houses. Why was there such a difference in treatment? Seeing the 10 angry house heads, the Emperor and his wife frowned. Why won't they listen? Lu Jiajin's eyes flashed as he smiled at the Emperor and his wife. Actually, I think we can save them. The Emperor and his wife looked at Lu Jiajin suspiciously. Dong Qingyuan raised an eyebrow and shouted at Lu Jiajin, Lu Yunfeng, why are you butting in? Do you know how serious this is? Don't cause trouble for His Majesty and the Empress. Because he was in opposition, he didn't like Lu Jiajin's sudden suggestion. Dong Qingyuan, you should be the one to shut up. Who do you think you are? This is our family business. Who gave you the right to speak? The house heads glared at Dong Qingyuan. Dong Jinxiang looked at Lu Jiajin and comforted him, with us here, you don't need to fear him. He's just a dog. What's the point of being so cocky? When Dong Qingyuan heard this, he clenched his fists and said angrily, Dong Jinxiang, don't go too far. What can you do if I say that about you? I'm the patriarch of a direct descendant family. Do I not have the right to talk about a dog like you? Dong Jinxiang sneered. Your Majesty. Dong Qingyuan was so angry that he turned to look at the Emperor. The Emperor glanced at Dong Jinxiang and said faintly, watch your words. Even if you want to beat a dog, you have to look at its owner first. How could he humiliate Dong Qingyuan in front of him, the master of the house? Humph. Dong Jinxiang snorted and looked at Lu Jiajin. Continue. In the past, when they saw Lu Jiajin, the 10 great family heads were all very unpleasant to the eye. Because he was too arrogant. He didn't even put the 10 great clans in his eyes. Therefore, they colluded with Dong Qingyuan to target Lu Jiajin and the inner demons. But now, he suddenly felt that these 2 brothers were much better than Dong Qingyuan. All right. Lu Jiajin nodded and looked at Dong Qingyuan with a smile. Don't be so agitated. My suggestion may be a good thing for the Central Dynasty. Giving 100,000 streams of origin force to Qin Feiyang with both hands, how can this be a good thing? Do you think we're all idiots? Dong Qingyuan sneered. All right. If you say that, then I really think you're an idiot. Lu Jiajin felt very helpless. Why did he always take the initiative to humiliate himself? He just stood quietly by the side and didn't make enemies with anyone. Did he feel uncomfortable? How dare you? Dong Qingyuan gritted his teeth. A commander of a small team dared to humiliate him, the commander of the army. Bang! The origin force that the emperor gave him earlier suddenly appeared. Do you want to attack? I was worried that I couldn't find a chance to kill you. The inner demon sneered. Stop it. Are you done? The emperor and his wife shouted. They were still having internal strife. Did they realize the current situation? The Central Dynasty was on the verge of destruction. It's not that we want to cause trouble. It's someone who overestimates himself. He doesn't have any ability, but he likes to show off. He thinks he's smart. Especially his bootlicking skills, I really admire him from the bottom of my heart. That's the key. Our emperor really enjoys this person's flattery. Your Majesty, don't you think so? The inner demons looked at the emperor and laughed. The emperor's eyes darkened. It's over. His Majesty is angry. The inner demons panicked. He quickly looked at Lu Jiajin and asked, Brother, isn't what I said the truth? Don't tell the truth. Lu Jiajin glared at the inner demons and sighed. He became the commander of the Death God army by flattery. This is also a kind of ability. For example, you and I don't have this ability. We have to learn more from him. Brother, you're right. We'll learn more from him in the future. The inner demons nodded quickly. His eyes were full of ridicule. This conversation left the monarch and the others dumbfounded. They thought. The inner demons and Lu Jiajin only dared to be arrogant in front of people like Dong Qingyuan. They didn't expect that they would be so arrogant even in front of the emperor and his wife. They were indeed Qin Feiyang's inner demons and Qin Feiyang's cousin. At the same time, Dong Jinxiang and the others looked at the inner demons with more and more satisfaction. This was really hitting the nail on the head. What did Dong Qingyuan do to deserve to be the commander of the Death God army? In terms of brains, who here was worse than Dong Qingyuan? In terms of strength. For example, Dong Hanzong, Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng, Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, Dong Xian, and Dong Qin. Who wasn't stronger than him? Even the monarchs, godly kings, and paragons were able to crush Dong Qingyuan without the help of their origin energy. Wasn't it because he was good at flattery that he could sit firmly on the throne of the Death God army and be used by the emperor? In the past, the 10 house heads were close to Dong Qingyuan, so they didn't think Dong Qingyuan was that bad. Now that they looked at him, he really was worthless. Your Majesty, do you see that? This is the danger I told you about before. Dong Qingyuan's strength is not enough to be the commander of the Death God army. Although no one said anything before, they were already dissatisfied. They were just waiting for a trigger. Dong Qingyuan isn't very smart. He doesn't have any strength, but he always likes to jump out and cause trouble. If you keep protecting him, I'm afraid one day, he'll make everyone angry. Ji Sui saw everyone's dissatisfaction and disdain for Dong Qingyuan and transmitted her voice to the emperor. She even noticed that Dong Hanzong, his student, looked at Dong Qingyuan with disdain. Suddenly, the emperor was very irritated. On one hand, it was because of Dong Qingyuan's stupidity. Why was he jumping around for no reason? Didn't he know these two brothers weren't easy to deal with? On the other hand, it was also because of the inner demons and Lu Jiajin's impudence. Under everyone's watchful eyes, they said such insulting words. Wasn't it obvious they didn't give the emperor any face? Most importantly, he couldn't leave these two brothers alone. Moreover, Dong Qingyuan and the 10 house heads had a falling out. The 10 house heads hated Dong Qingyuan. If at this moment, he ran out and blamed this pair of brothers, the 10 patriarchs would definitely not hesitate to stand up and support this pair of brothers. Dong Qingyuan, step aside. Don't talk. No one will think you're mute. The emperor waved his hand. Your Majesty, Dong Qingyuan looked at the emperor in shock. Didn't you hear me? Do I need to say it again? The emperor was furious and shouted. Can't you see that I'm trying to help you? If I let you continue like this, I'm afraid I'll have to announce you'll be stripped of your position as commander. Dong Qingyuan's body trembled. He glared at the inner demons and stepped aside. Sigh. Why do I have such a stupid teacher? Even I feel ashamed. Dong Hanzong sighed. The emperor looked at Lu Jiajin with a cold expression and said, say it. I'd like to see what good ideas you have. Obviously. What he wanted to say was, if you can't satisfy me, don't blame me for being rude. Lu Jiajin smiled faintly. He looked at everyone and said, why are we so passive now? It's because we can't find the whereabouts of Qin Feiyang and the others. And this time, to us, is undoubtedly an opportunity. Opportunity? Everyone was stunned. That's right. Don't they want the origin energy? We can give it to them. Because we can also take this opportunity to encircle and annihilate them. Lu Jiajin smiled. Take this opportunity to encircle and annihilate them. Everyone lowered their heads and pondered. Suddenly, the heavenly dragon god quivered. He looked up at the emperor and said, Your Majesty, this is indeed a good plan. If they want to obtain the origin energy, they must meet us. As long as they meet us, we can take the opportunity to kill them. When the emperor heard this, his eyes lit up. When he looked at Lu Jiajin again, the previous displeasure disappeared in an instant and was replaced by admiration. This was a person who truly had the potential to be a great general. No matter what kind of situation he is facing, he can calmly think of a solution. Dong Hanzong looked at Lu Jiajin unconvinced. How can I let you show off here alone? So, he looked at the emperor and the others and said, although the plan is good, Qin Feiyang and the others may not be so easy to fool. When everyone heard this, they fell into deep thought again. Yes. Although Qin Feiyang and the others are young, they are all cunning foxes. If they can think of it, these people will definitely think of it too. Lu Jiajin glanced at Dong Hanzong. This person is really meddlesome. He smiled faintly and said, You're right. They certainly won't be so easy to fool, so we need to plan carefully. Seeing how confident you are, you should already have an idea in your heart. Say it for everyone to hear. Dong Hanzong chuckled. He didn't believe that Lu Jiajin had a plan so quickly. So, he wanted to embarrass Lu Jiajin in public. Moreover, as long as Lu Jiajin can't say it, the emperor will definitely be very disappointed in this person. At that time, he will have the opportunity to perform. Chapter 45-46. Lu Jiajin looked at Dong Hanzong. This person seemed to be very active today. If it was any other time, it wouldn't be a big deal. But now, it was hard not to overthink. Because Dong Qingyuan had caused a lot of dissatisfaction. His position as the future Legion commander might not be guaranteed. If Dong Qingyuan abdicated, who would inherit the Death God Legion's Legion commander? Of course, it was to provoke the most outstanding person. The most outstanding person in the Central Dynasty was no doubt Dong Hanzong, the inner demons, Lu Jiajin, Dong Tianqian, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian. But Dong Tianqian, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian were bound by Qin Feiyang's blood oath and couldn't be entrusted with important tasks. Moreover, the three were descendants of the direct line of descent. Their status wasn't any lower than the Death God Legion's legion commander. Therefore, in Dong Hanzong's eyes, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin were the biggest threats. The inner demons were needless to say. They were powerful and talented. They created the Demon King's true body. And Lu Jiajin. Maybe his overall strength wasn't as good as the inner demons. But he was calm, smart, and had the strongest battle soul, the Eye of Void. Whether it was the Emperor or Ji Sui, they all looked at him with admiration. Most importantly, Dong Hanzong once heard Dong Qingyuan say that the Emperor saw Lu Jiajin and the inner demons as great talents. So, if Dong Qingyuan abdicated, the Emperor would most likely let Lu Jiajin or the inner demons inherit the Death God Legion's legion commander. This would be Dong Hanzong's stumbling block. Therefore, he was eager to embarrass Lu Jiajin. As long as Lu Jiajin's performance wasn't satisfactory, Dong Hanzong would have a high chance of becoming the Death God Legion's legion commander when Dong Qingyuan abdicated. This was Dong Hanzong's goal. That was why he was so active now. Seeing Lu Jiajin looking at him, Dong Hanzong didn't panic and greeted him with a smile. "You're smiling, aren't you? Just you wait. One day, you won't be able to smile." Lu Jiajin muttered. In his eyes, this behavior was too childish. Child's play. The Emperor looked at Lu Jiajin expectantly and asked, "Lu Yunfeng, do you have a plan?" Lu Jiajin was silent for a while and was about to speak. But at this moment, seeing that Lu Jiajin was silent, Dong Hanzong smiled faintly and said, "If you don't have anything, just say it. Don't try to show off. No one will say anything about you. After all, time is short. How can an ordinary person come up with a comprehensive plan so quickly?" Lu Jiajin looked at Dong Hanzong again, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Are you challenging my patience? If you keep jumping around like this, don't blame me for being impolite." However, Dong Hanzong didn't realize the danger he was in. He looked at Lu Jiajin with a smile, and there was even a hint of provocation in his eyes. "Yes. I'm just an ordinary person. I'm not that smart. You, Dong Hanzong, are ranked first among the 5 peerless geniuses. You're definitely not an ordinary person. I'm sure you've already come up with a detailed plan. There's no need to be modest. Tell us about it." Lu Jiajin smiled. He thought that Dong Hanzong would panic. Unexpectedly, he was as steady as Mount Tai. He nodded calmly and said, "I do have a plan." Lu Jiajin was stunned. Could it be that he had underestimated this person? He wasn't as stupid as he seemed on the surface. The Emperor and the others were also surprised and looked at Dong Hanzong. "My plan is that if the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. In short, we have to see Qin Feiyang in person before we take out the origin energy and exchange the hostages." Dong Hanzong smiled. Lu Jiajin asked calmly, "What if he doesn't show up?" "It's impossible for him not to show up." Dong Hanzong smiled confidently and said, "Why did he kidnap Dong Xiaofan and the others? He just wants the origin energy. If he doesn't show up, we won't give him the origin energy. Then, Dong Xiaofan and the others will be worthless in his hands. You're gambling with Dong Xiaofan and the others' lives. Because they have the initiative now. If we don't do as they say, they might be angry and kill Dong Xiaofan and the others." Lu Jiajin's face darkened as he looked at Dong Hanzong and said angrily. These words were not meant for Dong Hanzong, but for Dong Liming and the others. As expected. Hearing this, Dong Liming and the others were furious and glared at Dong Hanzong. Dong Jinxiang said in a deep voice, what kind of bullshit plan is this? Are you not deliberately harming our children? Let me tell you, if anything happens to these children because of your cleverness, the 10 lineal families will not let you off. Hearing this, Dong Hanzong raised his eyebrows and was extremely annoyed. However, due to the identity of the 10 lineal family heads, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He could not afford to offend these people for the time being. Lu Yunfeng, what do you mean by this? With nowhere to vent, he could not help but point the spearhead at Lu Jiajin and ask through voice transmission. What? Lu Jiajin looked at him in confusion. Dong Hanzong thought to himself, since you can't beat me, you used the trick of sowing discord and made the 10 lineal family heads target me. What kind of man are you to use such despicable means? Lu Jiajin was stunned. Can't beat you? Aren't you overestimating yourself? I don't want to play with you at all. It's obvious that you came here again and again to ask for a rebuff. He had seen many self-righteous people in his life, but it was really the first time he met such a self-righteous person. He felt good about himself and was very outstanding. Little did he know that others did not take him seriously at all. Dong Hanzong's eyes flashed, looked up at the emperor, and said respectfully, Your Majesty, Lu Yunfeng just told me through voice transmission that he actually has a plan in mind. Huh? Lu Jiajin was slightly stunned and looked at Dong Hanzong suspiciously. Did I say that? You're really shameless. You don't have any other skills, but your ability to lie through your teeth is first class. Hearing this, the emperor looked at Lu Jiajin unhappily and said, Lu Yunfeng, this is your fault. Since you have a plan, why don't you say it? Do you think we're not qualified to listen? No. Lu Jiajin hurriedly waved his hand and said with a smile, My plan is a little immature, so I'm embarrassed to say it. I'm afraid that everyone will laugh at me. So that's the case. The emperor suddenly understood and shook his head with a smile, It's okay, just say it. You really have a plan? Dong Hanzong frowned slightly. He initially wanted to embarrass Lu Jiajin, but he did not expect the other party to have a plan in mind. Did he shoot himself in the foot? No. How could he come up with a plan in such a short time? Even if it was an immature plan, it was impossible. This person must be forcing himself to hold on. Look at what you're saying. We're discussing now, not asking you to come up with a plan. Why would we laugh at you? Dong Hanzong said with a smile. Lu Jiajin glanced at Dong Hanzong, then at the emperor and his wife and said with a smile, The key to my plan is them. Saying this, he pointed at the king and boss Ji. The king, boss Ji, and a group of elders looked at Lu Jiajin with a blank expression. How did they get dragged into this? The emperor and his wife, the Kun Peng, the dragon god, and Dong Liming also looked at Lu Jiajin in confusion. The enmity between Qin Feiyang and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan was obvious to all. How could these people from the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan be the key? Although Qin Feiyang and the Purple Gold Divine Dragons have a deep grudge, it's undeniable that the blood of the Purple Gold Divine Dragons flows in Qin Feiyang's body. No one can cut it off. And as far as I know, Qin Batian is the king's grandson. With this relationship, I personally feel that it will be able to affect Qin Feiyang and the others to a certain extent. Lu Jiajin said. Are you saying that you'll hold the king and the elders hostage like Dong Tianqian in the 4 great continents to force Qin Feiyang and the others to show up? Are you kidding? They didn't fall for it last time. Why would they fall for it this time? Moreover, it's precisely because Dong Tianqian held the king and the others hostage in the 4 great continents that the creatures of the 4 great continents are against the central dynasty. How can we do such a stupid thing again? Dong Hanzong sneered. He was indeed stubborn. Otherwise, why would he come up with such a lousy plan? The emperor pondered for a moment and agreed with Dong Hanzong's point. This kind of thing could not be done again. Lu Jiajin glanced at Dong Hanzong and said with amusement, "Why are you so eager to show off? Can't you listen to me first before you express your opinion?" Dong Hanzong's expression stiffened. A trace of hostility flashed in his eyes. Immediately, he squeezed out an apologetic look and nodded. Yes, I was too impatient. Please continue." But in his heart, he sneered. "Let's see what tricks you can play." Lu Jiajin glanced at the king and the others, then looked at the emperor and said with a smile, "Your Majesty, the king and the others must be very tired on the way here. Why don't we let them rest first?" The emperor was stunned. Lu Jiajin gave him a look. The emperor smiled. He was deliberately sending the king and the others away. "Men, take the king and the others to rest." With the emperor's order, a guard outside immediately ran into the main hall, looked at the king and the others, and said with a respectful tone, "Please follow me." "Okay." The king and the other two nodded, turned to the guard, and walked out. Boss Ji and the group of old men looked at each other and smiled, and slowly followed. But when they passed by Lu Jiajin, Ji Laoshi couldn't help but ask, "What the hell are you doing? What else can I do? I just want to help my little cousin to get the 100,000 origin force." Lu Jiajin laughed secretly. "Are you confident?" Ji Laoshi asked secretly. "Yes. If Dong Hanzong didn't interfere, it might have been done by now. This person is too troublesome." Lu Jiajin said secretly. "Since he is troublesome, then find a chance to get rid of him." Although the two were talking, Ji Laoshi's footsteps did not stop. After saying that, he walked out of the main hall, followed the guard, and left without looking back. Get rid of, it's not that simple. Lu Jiajin sighed secretly. Although Dong Hanzong was a loathsome person, when it came to preserving his life, he was quite good. There was simply no way to find an opportunity to kill him. Chapter 45-47. Why are you being so secretive? Dong Hanzong frowned. What was he trying to say? Everyone present knew that Lu Jiajin had purposely sent the monarch and the others away, so they all looked at him suspiciously. "Speak," the emperor said. Lu Jiajin said, "My plan is for the monarch to take the origin power and trade with Qin Feiyang." "What? You want the monarch to take the origin power and trade with Qin Feiyang?" Dong Hanzong was dumbfounded. What kind of brain did he have to come up with such a stupid plan? One should know. This was 100,000 strands of origin power. What if the monarch got greedy and decided to swallow them all? What do you mean? The emperor looked at Lu Jiajin in confusion. Qin Feiyang is a careful man. Before exchanging hostages, he will definitely have Mu Qing use her all-seeing eye to spy on all of us. So, no matter where we hide, he will know. But the monarch is different. The reason for that is because Qin Feiyang still doesn't know that the monarch and the others have already entered the central dynasty. Thus, he would definitely not have Mu Qing use her heavenly eyes to spy on the monarch and the others. This is an opportunity for us. Lu Jiajin said. That makes sense. The monarch's eyes brightened. The 10 house leaders, Dragon God, and Kuanpeng all nodded. Ji Sui looked at Lu Jiajin with satisfaction. Tell me the details. It's simple. First, we spread the news, set a location, and exchange the hostages. Second, the monarch will go to the location on our behalf. The Divine King, Human Sovereign, and Boss Ji will hide in the space items, waiting for the right moment. When the time comes, Mu Qing will use her all-seeing eye to spy on us and know that we are all at Imperial Capital Mountain. They will definitely lower their guard and head to the location of the transaction. Third step, When Qin Feiyang arrives at the location of the transaction and discovers that the person doing the transaction with him is actually the monarch, he will definitely be extremely shocked and surprised. At that time, the God Kings, Human Supremes, Boss Ji, and the others who are hiding in the dark will be able to ambush them. Of course, Qin Feiyang is not easy to deal with. Their ambush will succeed, but it doesn't matter. We only need the monarch and the others to pin down Qin Feiyang and prevent him from escaping. As for the fourth step, there's no need for me to mention it. After the monarch and the others pin down Qin Feiyang, we'll immediately rush over to provide support and encircle Qin Feiyang's group. In this way, not only can we save Dong Xiaofan and the others, we can also eliminate them. Isn't this killing two birds with one stone? Lu Jiajin smiled. Not bad, not bad. What? The monarch laughed. Without comparison, there would be no harm. After hearing Lu Jiajin's plan and looking at Dong Hanzong's previous plan, it was on a completely different level. Because Lu Jiajin's plan had taken into account all aspects. Especially the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye was undoubtedly the most troublesome problem. And now, according to Lu Jiajin's plan, they could perfectly avoid the threat of the all-seeing eye. Lu Jiajin smiled again. Also, we can use this opportunity to test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan to the Central Dynasty. Test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan? Everyone was stunned. That's right. Qin Feiyang has the bloodline power of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon flowing in his body. As I said before, there is an inseparable relationship between them. So now, it is very necessary for us to test the loyalty of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. I mean, if they have other intentions, they may take action in the face of the temptation of the 100,000 strands of origin power. Lu Jiajin smiled. That makes sense. Everyone nodded. The more they looked at Lu Jiajin's performance, the more satisfied they were. How could this be? He came up with such a flawless plan in such a short time? I can't accept this. However, Dong Hanzong was going crazy. Although he didn't want to admit it, after listening to Lu Jiajin's plan, even he couldn't help but admire it. Suddenly, his eyes flashed as he looked at Lu Jiajin. This plan may not be able to save Dong Xiaofan and the rest. What if Qin Feiyang and the rest are cornered and use the lives of Dong Xiaofan and the rest to threaten us? He just didn't want to see Lu Jiajin valued and appreciated by the emperor couple. Hearing this, the 10 patriarchs couldn't help but look at Lu Jiajin. Lu Jiajin smiled faintly and looked at the 10 patriarchs. You don't have to worry. Even if Qin Feiyang sees that the person making the deal with him is the nation lord, it won't affect anything. Of course. If it really happens, it will be an accident as Dong Hanzong said. But I think that as long as we can successfully get rid of Qin Feiyang and the rest, Dong Xiaofan and the rest's sacrifice will be worth it. Because it's them who let us seize this good opportunity. They are the heroes of our central dynasty, revered by all generations. When the time comes, the status and prestige of the 10 great clans will also rise because of them. Although it's a little cruel, it's not a bad thing for the 10 major families. Patriarchs, what do you think? Lu Jiajin looked at the 10 patriarchs and smiled faintly. The 10 patriarchs looked at each other. Sigh. Dong Jinxiang sighed and nodded. Since it's already like this, there's no other way. As long as we can get rid of Qin Feiyang and the rest, we can reluctantly accept the sacrifice of these children. You're really righteous. I admire you. Lu Jiajin bowed. It's my duty. After all, I'm also a member of the Central Dynasty. Dong Jinxiang waved his hand. The emperor couple looked at each other and praised Lu Jiajin even more. Your Majesty, do you see? This is the way to handle things. The old Dong Qingyuan didn't know how to be tactful. He jumped out directly and opposed saving Dong Xiaofan and the others. That would have made the patriarchs unhappy. Look at Lu Yunfeng now. He's reasonable and emotional. He's thinking about the 10 major families' benefits and reputation. With some flattery, the patriarchs will gradually accept this. So, when dealing with difficult situations, you need to use your brain. Ji Sui transmitted. Yes. The emperor nodded. Now, with Lu Jiajin's guidance, even if Dong Xiaofan and the others died at the hands of Qin Feiyang, the patriarchs wouldn't say anything. As expected. Wonderful. Brother Lu, I admire you. Suddenly, Dong Hanzong turned to Lu Jiajin and bowed. Lu Jiajin was surprised. That attitude was a bit strange. Who would have thought Brother Lu could come up with such a brilliant plan in such an urgent situation? Brother Lu, I hope you can forgive me for my previous offense. Dong Hanzong bowed, his attitude sincere. It's fine. Lu Jiajin waved his hand. In his mind, he was wondering what this guy was up to. He didn't believe that Dong Hanzong would sincerely express goodwill to him. There must be something else hidden here. Your Majesty. Dong Qingyuan suddenly knelt on the ground and looked up at the emperor. I hope your Majesty can let me carry out this plan. The emperor was surprised. Let you carry it out? This plan was Lu Yunfeng's idea. How could he let you carry it out? Lu Jiajin and the inner demons were also surprised. What the hell is this guy doing? The inner demons were puzzled. Lu Jiajin's eyes flashed as he laughed. What else can he do? He just wants to take the opportunity to perform well and let the emperor couple see him in a new light. He really wants to be the emperor's son-in-law. The inner demon's mouth twitched. Isn't this his ambition? Lu Jiajin smiled faintly. Then we can't let him get what he wants. We came up with the plan. Why should we let him do it? The inner demons sneered secretly. No, no, no. We have to fulfill his wish. That's because this matter truly requires him to do it himself. Lu Jiajin hurriedly waved his hand. Why? The inner demons didn't understand. Think about it. No matter how perfect our plan is, it will fail in the end. If we carry it out ourselves and the plan fails, who will bear the responsibility? It will definitely be us. So, we have to find a scapegoat. I was wondering who should be the scapegoat, but I didn't expect Dong Hanzong to come forward himself. Why should we be polite to him? Lu Jiajin laughed secretly. I see. The inner demons had a sudden realization. Although Lu Jiajin's plan seemed to be to help the central dynasty on the surface, in fact, there was only one purpose, and that was to help Qin Feiyang obtain the 100,000 strands of origin source. Therefore, this plan would definitely end in failure. They couldn't possibly help the central dynasty to kill Qin Feiyang and the rest. However, they still had to put on a show. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too unusual to give it to Dong Hanzong so easily? Dong Hanzong, can you be more shameless? You didn't have a part in coming up with the plan. Now that the plan is out and it's time to carry it out, you run faster than anyone else. Why? Do you want to take the credit so badly? The inner demons looked at Dong Hanzong and sneered. Who said that I want to take the credit? I'm taking the lead and working for the central dynasty and the divine kingdom. Dong Hanzong straightened his back and said righteously. The corners of the inner demon's mouth twitched. This person's shamelessness was really unparalleled. He obviously wanted to take the credit and perform well in front of the emperor and his wife, but he made it sound so righteous. If it were someone who didn't know, they might be moved to tears. This matter, the emperor pondered for a while and looked at Dong Hanzong. It's better to carry it out. Your Majesty. Please think twice. Although Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian are smart, after all, they are outsiders. If you let them carry it out, when Qin Feiyang and the rest are killed, there may be a hidden danger of them overshadowing their master. Dong Qingyuan, who was silent at the side, saw that the emperor intended to let Lu Jiajin carry it out. He couldn't help but immediately send a message to the emperor. Heard. The emperor's heart skipped a beat. This kind of situation might really happen. Although Dong Hanzong is a collateral relative, in any case, the blood of the Dong family flows in his body. Moreover, you have seen Dong Hanzong's loyalty to you with your own eyes. But Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng are different. Both brothers are arrogant and unruly. Once their merit overshadows their master, it will be even harder to control them in the future. Dong Qingyuan continued to instigate. The emperor's eyes flashed. He turned to Lu Jiajin and said with a smile, "This plan was made by you, so I think I should respect your opinion. I will let whoever you want carry it out." It was obvious. He listened to Dong Qingyuan's words. Chapter 45-48. Sigh. Lu Jiajin sighed. He was thoroughly disappointed in the emperor. On the surface, he respected his choice and let him make the decision. But in reality, he wanted Dong Hanzong to carry out the plan. Otherwise, why would the emperor say that? Just appoint him and the inner demon to carry out the orders. This was the emperor's way. You think he's really respecting you? No. He's threatening you. He's telling you to be smart. I'm just a squad leader. I don't have the rallying power of the vice commander, nor can I compare to the vice commander. So, let the vice commander do it. Lu Jiajin shook his head. Dong Hanzong smiled, satisfied. You know what's good for you. In that case, the emperor looked around and shouted, "Everyone, heed my order. Assist Dong Hanzong. We must use this opportunity to take the heads of Qin Feiyang and the others." Yes. Everyone bowed. Then let's get to work. The emperor waved his hand, and the group immediately turned and left. Ji Sui watched the inner demons and Lu Jiajin leave, and asked, "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? Isn't this burning the bridge after crossing the river?" I know. But Dong Qingyuan's words make sense. A person with a different surname can't overshadow his master. The emperor's eyes were sharp. The divine kingdom could only have one master, and that was the Dong family. Overshadowing their masters, Ji Sui murmured, and shook her head, "I'm afraid your favoritism will make them unhappy sooner or later." These two brothers, whether it was strength or ability, were geniuses of all time. Such people should be put to good use. Outside, Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan walked together. Dong Qingyuan transmitted, "Hanzong, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must perform well. Don't let this happen again. Teacher, don't worry. If such a flawless plan fails, then I'm useless." Dong Hanzong smiled confidently. He looked at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, who were talking to the 10 house heads. His eyes flashed with mockery, "Brother Lu, wait." The inner demons and Lu Jiajin were stunned. They stopped and turned to look at Dong Hanzong suspiciously. The 10 patriarchs stopped as well. They looked at Dong Qingyuan and Li Qie with a hint of disgust in their eyes. Dong Hanzong stepped forward and smiled, "Many thanks for Brother Lu's help." "Nothing." Lu Jiajin shook his head. "Don't act like you don't care. If you're angry, just vent it out. It's uncomfortable to hold it in." Dong Hanzong chuckled. "You're not done." The inner demons raised their eyebrows. Dong Hanzong raised his head and laughed heartily. He then said, "Although you are not convinced, this matter is already a foregone conclusion. Moreover, you have also heard His Majesty's previous order. You must assist me with all your strength. Assist you? The inner demons were full of disdain. Do you think a piece of trash like you is qualified to ask for our help? I know you are very unwilling, but this is His Majesty's order. Do you dare to disobey? Dong Hanzong sneered. Using the Emperor to pressure us? Dong Hanzong, you are still too naive. You can only rely on the Emperor's power to intimidate others. Don't say that. The two of you are quite similar. Sure enough, it proves the old saying that birds of a feather flock together. The inner demons looked at the two of them mockingly. Dong Hanzong's eyes darkened. Dong Qingyuan could not help but clench his fists. What are you doing? You want to take their credit and bully them? When the 10 patriarchs saw this, they stood beside the inner demons and said angrily, "How dare I?" Dong Hanzong sneered and looked at the inner demons and said, "Without your help, this time I can still kill Qin Feiyang and the others. Just wait for my celebration." As soon as he finished speaking, he left with a maniacal laugh. Dong Qingyuan glanced at inner demon mockingly, then strode away. The dragon god and Kunpeng looked at each other and said to the inner demons, "Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng, this is a personal grudge between you and Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong. Don't drag us into it. Don't worry, we brothers are not people who can't distinguish right from wrong." Lu Jiajin smiled faintly. "That's good. You two are very strong. But unfortunately, after all, you are not of the same surname. Take it easy, because Kunpeng and I have been through this all along." The two of them shook their heads and sighed. They patted the inner demons and Lu Jiajin's shoulders and then quickly left. In other words, although they were highly valued by the Emperor now, they had been ostracized like inner demon in the past. They had been wronged. Because although they were divine beasts, they were not members of the Dong clan. This pair of master and disciple are too much. I've seen countless people in my life, but I've never seen such shameless people. Don't be angry. From now on, the 10 main families will be the support of you two brothers. As long as we support you, even the Emperor won't dare to do anything to you. The 10 family patriarchs stared at the backs of Dong Qingyuan and Kunpeng and said angrily, "Thank you." Lu Jiajin smiled gratefully. "You're too polite. It's our turn to thank you. If it weren't for your help, our children would have been dead. Although it's hard to say whether they'll live or die now, at least there's a glimmer of hope." The 10 of them sighed. "I can understand. After all, as parents, who doesn't care about their children?" Lu Jiajin smiled. "Yes. We want to turn a blind eye, but we're not as ruthless as the Emperor. We can't do it. All right. We'll go back first. If you have time, come visit our clan." The 10 of them invited him in a friendly manner. "Okay." Lu Jiajin nodded. After sending off the 10 family patriarchs, Lu Jiajin and the inner demons smiled. "Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, do you really think you can succeed this time? Don't worry. The best part is yet to come. When the time comes, you'll be crying." Lu Jiajin slowly raised his head and looked at the clear sky. He said telepathically, "However, I've had enough of these scheming days. I really want to go back to the great Qin Empire now and throw away all my worries. I want to live a peaceful life with my family." The inner demons was silent for a while. He put his arm around Lu Jiajin's shoulder and laughed. "Don't worry, it won't be long." Lu Jiajin smiled. Then, the two of them stepped into the air and gradually disappeared into the vast mountains. The Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Jiajin and the inner demons and said in surprise, "They've already entered the central dynasty?" "Yes." Lu Jiajin nodded and smiled, and each of them obtained a strand of origin power. Qin Feiyang was shocked and shook his head. What can one strand of origin power do? It's not useful. But this time, we've gathered a lot of useful information. First, the origin power. The emperor and his wife have 2 million strands of origin power, but they've used up a lot over the years. They only have 1 million strands left. Lu Jiajin smiled. That much? Qin Feiyang was shocked. If he'd known, he would have asked for more. Lu Jiajin asked, "How much origin power did you get from Ji Sui?" "I don't know. It's all in the white-eyed wolf's hands. You know his personality. He won't even let us touch him." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lu Jiajin and the inner demons looked at each other. This was the white-eyed wolf's personality. Lu Jiajin said, "Ji Sui said at the imperial palace that there were 300,000 strands. I'm not sure if she was exaggerating." Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. With a thought, the white-eyed wolf appeared. "What are you doing? Can't you see I'm fusing with the inheritance?" The white-eyed wolf glared at Qin Feiyang. "Shut up." Qin Feiyang glared at him and asked, "How much origin power did Ji Sui give us?" "What do you want?" The white-eyed wolf retreated and stared at Qin Feiyang with caution. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. The inner demons and Lu Jiajin were speechless. Why was he acting like a coward protecting its food? "I'm not asking. I just want to confirm. How much did you get?" Qin Feiyang fumed. "Is that so? You should have said so earlier. You scared me." The white-eyed wolf sighed in relief and grinned at Qin Feiyang's group, "About 330,000 strands. So it's a third." Lu Jiajin nodded. "That's still a problem. Even if we get the 100,000 strands of origin power, we'll only have 430,000 strands. That's less than half of what the emperor and his wife have." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Although that's the case, our strength is also gradually increasing. And this time, if the plan fails, Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong, those two self-righteous idiots, will incur the emperor's wrath. When that happens, the inner demons and I will have a high chance of becoming the Death God Army's commander and vice-commander." Lu Jiajin chuckled. "Really?" Qin Feiyang's eyes brightened. If the two of them really became the Death God Army's commander and vice-commander, they would basically control the life and death of the entire Death God Army. If there's no accident, it should be us. Lu Jiajin pondered for a while, and his tone became uncertain. "Then you can do it. The moment you become the commander, we'll be able to control the Death God Army's roar." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. As long as they could control the Death God Army, the experts that the emperor had painstakingly cultivated would become a sharp blade in their hands. "We'll do our best." Lu Jiajin nodded with a smile. Thinking about it carefully, he really didn't have much confidence. Because from the emperor's attitude in the imperial palace, he knew that he wouldn't easily put people with different surnames in important positions. The inner demons smirked, "We've done what we should do. Now it's up to you." "Okay. We'll definitely put on a good show for them." Qin Feiyang nodded. The inner demons and Big Cousin had set up the trap, and the emperor and his people had successfully entered it. The next thing would be simple. Chapter 45-49. On the same day, a storm broke out in the Central Dynasty. "Have you heard? Qin Feiyang kidnapped the children of the 10 patriarchs in the 8 Immortal Mountain." "What? There's such a thing? You're not joking with me?" "Why would I joke with you? Besides, do I look like I'm joking with you?" People were talking about it. Was this Qin Feiyang really so undisciplined and out of control that no one could stop him? It hadn't been long since the battle in the 10,000 Demons Valley, and now there was such a big commotion. Which one of the children of the 10 patriarchs wasn't a noble? Even if only one of them was kidnapped by Qin Feiyang, it would cause a strong reaction, let alone 10. Was he going to wipe out the 10 patriarchs in one fell swoop? In a restaurant, 2 men and a woman were sitting around a table. They were Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian. Although Qin Feiyang and the others had been in the Central Dynasty for so long, they hadn't shown up. They even chose to hide at home when they were besieging Qin Feiyang in the 10,000 Demons Valley. Because they were afraid. They were afraid that once they showed up, they would be targeted by Qin Feiyang. After all, they were now bound by the blood oath. If Qin Feiyang wanted them to do something, they wouldn't dare to disobey. The 3 of them remained silent. There was a pot of divine tea on the table in front of them, and the strong tea aroma floated in the air, but they didn't have the slightest appetite. What's wrong with Qin Feiyang? Back in the 4 great continents, didn't we agree that he wouldn't hurt our family? Now, why did he kidnap our brother and sister? Dong Ping looked extremely angry. Dong Tianchen, Dong Ping, and Dong Xian were members of the 10 patriarchs, so Dong Xiaofan and the others were their family members. I'm afraid he has already forgotten his promise to us. Dong Xian snorted. No matter what. We have to save Dong Tianping and Dong Sha. Dong Tianchen took a deep breath and looked at Dong Ping and Dong Xian. How? Even if we go to Qin Feiyang to discuss it, we have to find his hiding place first. Dong Ping frowned. Everyone in the Central Dynasty was looking for Qin Feiyang, but no one could find him. These people were really powerful. Once they disappeared, it was as if they had vanished from the face of the earth. Just as the 3 of them were at their wits' end, Dong Tianchen's divine sound transmission stone moved. Dong Tianchen was taken aback. He quickly took out the divine sound transmission stone. Wang! A square-faced middle-aged man appeared. Lord Father. Looking at the middle-aged man, Dong Tianchen and Dong Ping immediately stood up and bowed. Where are you? The middle-aged man frowned. Dong Tianchen replied honestly, we are discussing with Dong Xian how to rescue little brother and Dong Sha. Nonsense. Didn't I tell you to stay out of this? You are now bound by the blood oath. What if you meet Qin Feiyang and he asks you to betray the Central Dynasty? The middle-aged man said angrily. But we can't just leave him to die. Dong Tianchen frowned. Sigh. I am very happy that you are so considerate. But now, you have to keep a low profile and not attract Qin Feiyang's attention. But don't worry too much. We have a plan to deal with them. The middle-aged man said. What plan? Dong Tianchen and the other 2 looked at each other and quickly looked at the middle-aged man with anticipation. The plan is complicated. We will talk about it when you come back. In short, this time, Qin Feiyang will die without a doubt. As long as he is dead, you will be free. At that time, you have to work harder and suppress Dong Hanzong's arrogance. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Dong Hanzong? Dong Tianchen and the other 2 were stunned. Dong Ping's eyes flashed coldly, and he said in a deep voice, what did Dong Hanzong do to you? He was extremely arrogant in the imperial palace. And this time, His Majesty appointed him to carry out this plan. Once Qin Feiyang is eliminated successfully, his weight in the emperor's heart will rise again. So, you have to work hard in the future. Otherwise, your sharpness will be overshadowed by him. You are the descendants of the main family, and he is just a pariah. You can't let him ride on your heads. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Understood. We will go back now. Dong Tianchen turned off the voice transmission stone and turned to look at Dong Xian, and said, then we will go back first. Keep in touch. Okay. Dong Xian nodded. At this moment, the three of them were very excited. They were eager to know what the plan was. Because it was related to their freedom. Originally, with the strength of the three of them, they could have become the main force to encircle Qin Feiyang and the others, but because of the existence of the blood oath, they did not dare to make the slightest move. The blood oath was like a thorn that kept stabbing into their hearts. This kind of grievance almost made them break down. The next day. Early morning. Another news spread in the central dynasty. The emperor agreed to Qin Feiyang's condition. The time was set to be 3 days later at the 8 Immortal Mountain, and the place was still the same. As soon as the news came out, countless people rushed to the 8 Immortal Mountain in advance to join in the fun. When they arrived at the 8 Immortal Mountain, they found that the scenery had already been destroyed. Many people expressed that it was a pity. In the blink of an eye. 3 days passed. Early in the morning. Imperial Capital Mountain. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, the Dragon God, and the Kunpeng gathered in a hall. Why don't I see Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng? The Dragon God glanced at the door and said suspiciously. I have already sent someone to inform them. Dong Qingyuan said lightly. Teacher, isn't it better that they are not here? Dong Hanzong said with a smile. That's true. Dong Qingyuan nodded with a smile. Looking at this master and disciple, the Dragon God and the Kunpeng also inexplicably felt disgusted. Whoosh! Soon. A member of the Death God army rushed into the hall. Where are they? Dong Qingyuan asked. The member of the Death God army hesitated for a moment, and finally said truthfully, Lu Yunfeng said that they are not feeling well today, so they did not want to come. Not feeling well? Dong Qingyuan raised his eyebrows. As a heavenly will expert, how could there be a problem with his body? Even if he wanted to find an excuse, he should not be so perfunctory. Ignore them. Dong Hanzong waved his hand and turned to look at the Kunpeng and the Dragon God, saying, Have you arranged the Beast Kings and Beast Kings below? They are all on standby. The two nodded. Good. Our Death God army is also fully armed. As long as we give the order, we will immediately attack the 8 Immortal Mountain. Dong Hanzong smiled coldly. Although the plan is very thorough, we can't be careless. The Kunpeng kindly reminded. You don't think that they can make a comeback, do you? Dong Hanzong sneered. The Kunpeng frowned. Our entire Death God army, the Dragon God, the Beast Kings and Beast Kings of the Kunpeng Sea region, and the 10 lineal families are all ready. Moreover, we have the help of the king and the others. His Majesty the King and Empress will definitely not stand by and do nothing. You can say that. This time, our lineup is even stronger than the last time in the Myriad Demons Valley. Even if they can defy the heavens, they will not be able to escape this time. Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan's eyes flashed with strong murderous intent. This time, they were determined to win. The Kunpeng and the Dragon God saw this scene and did not bother to say anything else. As long as you and your master are happy. Whoosh! At this time, another group of people broke through the air and entered the main hall one after another. The leader was a member of the Death God army. Behind him were the king, the divine king, Zhizun, Boss Ji, and a group of elders. Army commander, everyone is here. The member of the Death God army looked at Dong Qingyuan and said respectfully. You may leave. Dong Qingyuan waved his hand. Yes. After the member of the Death God army left the main hall, Dong Qingyuan looked at the king and the others and said with a smile, Everyone, have you rested well these few days? Not bad. The king nodded lightly. He naturally did not have a good impression of Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong. If you have rested well, then let's get ready to move. According to the original plan, the Divine King, Zhizun, and the elders will first enter the king's spatial divine item and wait for the critical moment to give Qin Feiyang a fatal blow. This time, whether or not we can kill Qin Feiyang depends on you, so please do your best. Dong Hanzong said. Okay. The Divine King and Zhizun nodded. The king waved his hand, and the Divine King, Zhizun, Boss Ji, and the others immediately disappeared. Dong Hanzong looked at the king and said with a smile, "Take out the Divine Voice Stone." The king quietly took out the Divine Voice Stone. The two established a contract bridge, and Dong Hanzong said with a smile, "When the time is right, immediately send us a message. Let's go to the Imperial Palace now and find His Majesty to get the 100,000 strands of origin energy." After a slight pause, Dong Hanzong continued, "I'll say the ugly words first. This is not only to kill Qin Feiyang, but also a test for the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. You must seize the opportunity." Test. The king was puzzled. This is something that everyone knows. There's no need to say it out loud. Dong Hanzong said with a smile. The king looked at Dong Hanzong indifferently. Of course he knew this, because the inner demons and Lu Jiajin had already told him the night before. The reason why he looked puzzled was that he was playing dumb. Go. I believe that you must be looking forward to the day when Qin Feiyang is killed. Dong Hanzong laughed. Yes. I've been looking forward to it. The king nodded, turned around, and flew out of the hall, and flew toward the Imperial Palace without looking back. Looking forward to it? Yes. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not looking forward to killing Qin Feiyang. I'm looking forward to the day when the Central Dynasty is destroyed. 8 Immortal Mountain. At this moment, the sky above the surrounding mountains was already filled with a sea of people. Say, what conditions do you think Qin Feiyang proposed? I don't know. The news from the Imperial Capital Mountain is that they agreed to Qin Feiyang's conditions, but they didn't say what the specific conditions were. I guess this condition is definitely not ordinary. Maybe Qin Feiyang and the others asked for a lot of inheritances of the ultimate profound. Inheritances? You must be joking. Long Chen has the means to strip others of their ultimate profound. Why would he need inheritances? For a moment. It was very noisy here. Chapter 45-50. Buzz. Suddenly, a space-time tunnel appeared. The scene quieted down. Everyone looked at the space-time tunnel and held their breath. They didn't know if the person was from the Imperial Capital Mountain or Qin Feiyang's group. At this moment, even time seemed to have stopped. Finally, a figure walked out of the space-time tunnel. It was the monarch. Everyone's expression froze. Who was this person? They had never seen him before. Although the monarch was a household name in the 4 great continents, not many people in the Central Dynasty knew him. Because he had never appeared in the Central Dynasty. People from the Central Dynasty might have heard of the monarch before. But if you were to talk about the monarch himself, there were not many who had seen him in person. He couldn't have been sent by Qin Feiyang, right? Because they didn't know the monarch, they thought he was Qin Feiyang's accomplice. The monarch didn't say anything when he heard these discussions. He looked around and waited silently. At the same time, the Divine King, Zhizun, Boss Ji, and the others who were hiding in the space divine item were also paying attention to the situation outside. And they weren't nervous at all. They were talking and laughing. It's really incredible. How long has it been since they came to the Central Dynasty? They actually made a name for themselves. Even the Emperor and his wife can't do anything to them. The Divine King said as he sipped his tea. His face was full of gratification. He didn't misjudge them. These kids were all talents. That's right. I was worried when I heard they were going to enter the Central Dynasty. After all, the Central Dynasty is much stronger than the four great continents. But I didn't expect that they could still make a name for themselves in the Central Dynasty. The human race sovereign shook his head and smiled. His choice back then was indeed correct. Otherwise, the four great continents would have been in a terrible situation. The human race, the god race, and the purple-gold divine dragon race would have followed in the footsteps of the sea race and the beast race. You guys have been talking for a long time. It's all because of the good genes of the purple-gold divine dragon race. Boss G looked at the two proudly. The divine king and Ji Zun were stunned. Could it be related to the genes of the purple-gold divine dragon clan? Am I wrong? Qin Feiyang is a descendant of the purple-gold divine dragon clan. Naturally, he inherited the excellent foundation of the purple-gold divine dragon clan. That's why he's so outstanding. Old Ji said proudly. The divine king was unconvinced. Even if they were seniors, they shouldn't be so narcissistic. He said, let's not talk about Qin Feiyang for now. He might really be related to the genes of your purple-gold divine dragon clan. But Golden-Winged Wolf King, Madman, Longchen, and the others shouldn't be related to your purple-gold divine dragon clan. He had heard of it. Ji Laosher's expression froze. From what we've gathered in the past few days, Goldwing Wolf King, Madman, and the others have all improved by leaps and bounds. Especially Lunatic and Longchen. The peak state of the all-evil sword can actually compete with the origin force. Longchen's god's domain can even control the rule power of the divine kingdom. People like you and me are far from being their opponents. The divine king shook his head. In the past few days, they had gathered information about what Qin Feiyang and the others had done in the Central Dynasty. They were both nervous and relieved. They were nervous because the situation of these kids in the Central Dynasty was too dangerous. They were relieved because no matter how dangerous it was, they could survive and become stronger than before. Black Tortoise World. Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Madman, Mu Qing, Longchen, Li Feng, and Long Qin gathered in the tea garden. Mu Qing was using the all-seeing eye to spy on the whereabouts of the emperor and the others. Achoo! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang sneezed. What's wrong? White-Eyed Wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang rubbed his nose and said with a smile, maybe someone is thinking about me. I know, they must be thinking about your death. White-Eyed Wolf bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and he rolled his eyes. Phew! At this time, Mu Qing exhaled and slowly closed the all-seeing eye. How is it? Qin Feiyang asked. As expected. The emperor and his wife, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Dragon God, and Kuanpeng are all in the imperial capital mountain. Only the monarch is in the 8 immortal mountain. The divine king and the others are also lurking in the monarch space divine item according to the plan. Mu Qing said. What about the inner demons and big cousin? Qin Feiyang asked. Mu Qing said with a strange expression, they are now, with the Moon Immortal Princess. The group of people looked at each other. Mu Qing said, they are playing chess and drinking tea. It seems that they are quite relaxed. Moon Immortal Princess, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, this woman is a good chess piece. Chess piece? White-Eyed Wolf was stunned. Think about it, when the plan fails, will they look for the reason? With Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan's personalities, it is very likely that they will push the blame to the inner demons and big cousin. At that time, they will say that the inner demons and big cousin may have leaked the news. And now, they are with the Moon Immortal Princess. If Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong target them, the Moon Immortal Princess can testify for them. Qin Feiyang chuckled. White-Eyed Wolf pondered for a while and asked, "You mean, they are deliberately with the Moon Immortal Princess now?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Two cunning guys." White-Eyed Wolf grimaced and said, "Should we go to the Eight Immortals Mountain now? We can't let the king wait too long, or he will definitely say that we don't know how to respect the old." "No hurry." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked up at Long Chen. He said with a smile, "Brother Long, before we go to the Eight Immortals Mountain, I need you to do something for me." "What is it?" Long Chen was puzzled. Qin Feiyang got up and walked to Long Chen's ear and whispered a few words. "What are they whispering about?" White-Eyed Wolf and the others looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen curiously. After a while, Long Chen's mouth twitched slightly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I think you must be an old fox in your previous life." Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, "That shouldn't be considered derogatory, right?" No, I'm praising you." Long Chen waved his hand and couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. He looked at White-Eyed Wolf and the others and said, "Then you guys can stay in the Black Tortoise realm first. Maybe I don't need you to do anything." "So confident?" White-Eyed Wolf and the others were stunned. "Nothing unexpected, right?" Long Chen smiled faintly. Then, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and swept Long Chen up. They instantly disappeared without a trace, leaving White-Eyed Wolf and the others in a daze in the tea garden. Did he really leave them here? Fine. Let's see what tricks you can play. Soul Ceiling Valley. Two figures descended in the sky. It was Qin Feiyang and Long Chen. The two lowered their heads and glanced at the souls suppressed in the Soul Ceiling Valley. Soon, they locked onto one of the souls. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the soul immediately rose into the air and flew uncontrollably in front of the two. "See, Python Demon Emperor, after all these years in the Black Tortoise realm, have you gotten used to it?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "That's right. This was the Sea Python Demon Emperor's soul. You guys will die a horrible death." The Sea Python Demon Emperor's eyes were filled with hatred. As one of the 10 great demon emperors of the Kunpeng Sea region, he had actually fallen to such a state. For him, it was simply a stain that could not be washed away in his lifetime. Right now, he also wanted to die. His ultimate profound was taken away and he was suppressed in such a damned place. Although it had only been a few years outside, in the Black Tortoise realm, 5,000 years of time was equivalent to millions of years of time. In other words, he had been suppressed in the Soul Ceiling Valley for millions of years. What kind of concept was that? Not to mention millions of years, even a few years in a place like the Soul Ceiling Valley was worse than death. Moreover, the Sea Python Demon Emperor was also the first will of the heavens powerhouse suppressed in the Soul Ceiling Valley since Qin Feiyang entered the Central Dynasty. Don't curse others to die so easily. It's rude. I also know that you are now bent on dying. This time, I will fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What do you want to do? The Sea Python Demon Emperor suddenly became vigilant. He was not afraid of death now, but he was afraid that Qin Feiyang had other schemes. Don't be nervous. Soon, you will be free. Qin Feiyang chuckled and turned to look at Long Chen. Long Chen waved his hand and activated the soul-controlling technique. This is, the Sea Python Demon Emperor's expression changed and without hesitation, he immediately prepared to destroy his soul. But Qin Feiyang had already expected it and suppressed it. Long Chen successfully controlled it. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang selected the divine souls of 10 beasts and let Long Chen control them one by one. After that, Qin Feiyang moved his mind and the mermaid princess immediately appeared beside him. What's wrong? The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Help me reconstruct their bodies. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay. With the help of the Eye of Life, the bodies of the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 beasts were reconstructed in a few seconds. Qin Feiyang glanced at the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 ferocious beasts before lowering his head to look at the mermaid princess. His eyes were filled with tenderness as he asked, "Have you fused with the law of light and darkness's ultimate inheritance that I asked Huo Lian to give you?" "Yes." The mermaid princess nodded and said, "But I don't think it's necessary to give it to me." "What do you mean?" "You are the person I care about the most. I must take good care of you and protect you," Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid princess blushed. "Ahem. I say, you'd better consider the feelings of a single dog like me." Long Chen coughed dryly. Showing off their affection in front of him? That's not very appropriate. See, we're being laughed at by brother Long Chen. The mermaid princess glared at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. "What are you afraid of? I just want to torture him, a single dog. He's obviously a talented man with extraordinary talent, but he's not in a hurry at all." Qin Feiyang smiled proudly at Long Chen. The corner of Long Chen's mouth twitched and he turned his head to look elsewhere. Out of sight, out of mind. But when he turned his head, there seemed to be a flash of tenderness in his eyes. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not. Huh, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh and sent the mermaid princess back. Then, he looked at the Sea Python Demon Emperor and said, "You, change into my appearance." "Yes." The Sea Lion Demon Emperor, who was controlled by the soul-controlling technique, was particularly obedient. Qin Feiyang looked at the other 10 beasts and ordered, "You guys also change into the appearance of Dong Xiaofan and the other 10. "That's right." He had no intention of returning Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 to the emperor. These 10 people were all descendants of the 10 direct descendants of the 10 families. Keeping them alive would sooner or later become a disaster. Especially Dong Xiaofan. Although Tianxian City was indeed not massacred by them, Dong Xiaofan hated him to the bone. After the Sea Python Demon Emperor and the 10 beasts changed into the appearance of Qin Feiyang and Dong Xiaofan, Qin Feiyang looked at them for a while. Their temperament seemed to be a little wrong, so he asked them to change their temperament. Finally, after confirming that there were no flaws, he left the Black Tortoise realm with Long Chen. Chapter 45-51. Why isn't he here yet? Could it be that he's scared and decided to back out? 8 Immortal Mountain. The king wasn't in a hurry, but the onlookers couldn't wait any longer. Back out? Looks like you guys don't know our strength. We were able to escape from the battle in the Thousand Demons Valley, let alone a deal. Suddenly, a sneer was heard. Everyone was stunned and quickly turned around to look at the source of the sound, only to see a white figure flying through the air like lightning. Qin Feiyang. The pupils of everyone present could not help but shrink. To think that he came here alone. He's got guts. Are you stupid? Don't you know he has a Black Tortoise world? I heard that the Black Tortoise world is an independent world. What? An independent world? Doesn't that mean he's the ruler of a world? What do you think? On the surface, he came alone, but in reality, everyone is in his Black Tortoise world. Everyone whispered, their eyes filled with fear. When Qin Feiyang arrived, the onlookers immediately opened up a path for him. Qin Feiyang smiled as he calmly walked through the crowd. His thick black hair fluttered in the wind, and his body exuded an elegant aura. Let's not talk about anything else. Just his temperament alone is 1 in a million. Someone couldn't help but praise. Yeah. He's probably the only person in the world who can be so calm when facing the Central Dynasty alone. If he's from the Central Dynasty, who knows how many young men and women will fall for him. His Majesty will definitely put him in an important position. If he's really from the Central Dynasty, then he's the #1 person in the Divine Kingdom. Even Dong Hanzong, the 5 unparalleled geniuses, is overshadowed by him. People whispered. As enemies, they couldn't help but admire Qin Feiyang. It wasn't hard to imagine how amazing Qin Feiyang's performance in the Central Dynasty was. Finally. Passing through the crowd, Qin Feiyang landed in front of the monarch. Surprised, he asked, "Monarch, why are you in the Central Dynasty?" "What? Your Majesty." Could he be the monarch of the 4 great continents, the leader of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan? Everyone looked at the monarch suspiciously when they heard how he addressed him. Although they didn't know who the monarch was, there were still quite a number of people who knew the monarch's name. Surprised? You're not the only ones who can enter the Central Dynasty. The monarch looked at Qin Feiyang and sneered coldly. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "So to speak, you came all the way from the 4 continents to the Central Dynasty to kill us? What do you think?" The king sneered. "I really don't understand. You and I are connected by blood. Why do you keep helping the Central Dynasty deal with me? I'm telling you, don't challenge my limits." Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. Connected by blood? That's just wishful thinking on your part. My Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan will never acknowledge your identity. To the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, the Qin clan is a disgrace to us because you've tainted the bloodline power of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. As for why I'm helping the Central Dynasty, do you even need to ask? I'm the monarch of the Divine Kingdom. If I don't help the Central Dynasty, should I help you? If my own son dares to threaten the interests of the Divine Kingdom, let alone you, I'll kill him without hesitation. The monarch roared, his killing intent soaring to the sky. Well said. As expected of the monarch of the Divine Kingdom. The ruler of the 4 great continents. The onlookers couldn't help but clap and cheer. Looks like the monarch has no problem. Not all of the onlookers were here to join in the fun. Some of them were spies sent by the emperor. They hid in the crowd and observed the situation. At the same time, they were monitoring the monarch. Hearing the monarch's righteous words, the spies couldn't help but smile. Good, good, good. In that case, I have nothing more to say. From now on, it's either you die or I die. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and said, "You must be the one who came to make the deal with me. Take out the origin energy. I want to see the people first." The monarch said. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 people immediately appeared. It's really them. They've all become Qin Feiyang's captives. This is too unlucky. Everyone murmured. You've seen the people. Now, let me see the origin energy. Qin Feiyang said. The monarch waved his hand, and a cloud of origin energy immediately appeared. It floated in front of the monarch like a cloud, shining with 7-colored divine light and emitting a shocking aura. This is the origin energy? Could this be the condition that Qin Feiyang offered? As expected of Qin Feiyang. The other divine objects are nothing to him. Everyone stared at the origin energy, and their eyes shone with greed. If they could get the origin energy, they could do whatever they wanted in the Central Dynasty. It would be a matter of minutes for them to soar. Qin Feiyang looked at the origin energy, and his eyes were shining. He said, "Quickly give me the origin energy. I'll only let them go when I get it." "What if you don't let them go after I give you the origin energy?" The monarch snorted. "Why? You're the monarch. Are you afraid that I'll escape with them? Qin Feiyang sneered. What can't a person like you do? The monarch sneered. Fine. We'll exchange the money and the goods. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, rolled up Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 people, and flew toward the monarch. The monarch also walked toward Qin Feiyang. Everyone present held their breaths as they watched the two of them. What are you looking at? Do you want to die? What if a battle breaks out later? Can you survive? Get lost. Suddenly, a cold shout came from the crowd. The onlookers shuddered and hurriedly turned around and ran away. Qin Feiyang glanced around, and there was a trace of vigilance in his eyes. Oh no! Will we alert the enemy? The eyelids of the spies sent by the monarch twitched. They were actually very anxious. Why were there so many reckless people coming to join in the fun? If they didn't warn them, these people would definitely die tragically later. Don't look. There's no ambush. If there was an ambush, Mu Qing's all-seeing eye would have discovered it. You wouldn't have come to 8 Immortal Mountain now. The monarch said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded and continued to fly toward the monarch. Seeing this, the spies mixed in the crowd couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The monarch had a way. In a few words, he dispelled the doubts in Qin Feiyang's heart. In fact, they didn't know. This was just a show. Finally, Qin Feiyang and the monarch met. They stopped at the same time. There was only a distance of 2 or 3 meters between the two. For people at their level, it was within reach. Get ready. The spies mixed in with the crowd began to gather their strength and wait for action. The spies sent here by the monarch were undoubtedly strong masters of the will of heaven. There was even a spy who followed the crowd and left 8 Immortal Mountain. He took out a voice transmission stone and was ready to send a message to the monarch at any time. Brat, are you sure you can escape? The monarch asked. Senior, don't worry. We've already arranged it. A voice also sounded in the monarch's mind. Senior? The monarch was stunned, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. That's right. The Qin Feiyang in front of you is not the real Qin Feiyang, but a demon emperor in disguise. Now he is being controlled by my soul control technique. That is to say, I have been talking to you before. Long Chen's soul control technique could not only make the controller no different from ordinary people, but also control the other party's physical body and soul to communicate with others. In short, the soul control technique had the ability of enslavement seal and puppet technique at the same time. I see. The monarch suddenly understood and said secretly, so, you are Long Chen? Besides me, who else has the soul control technique? Long Chen laughed. Okay. The Divine King, the monarch, and the Old Master are all in the space divine object and will come out soon. Dong Hanzong and the others are on Emperor Capital Mountain, and they are all ready to go. You must not fight. Get the power of the origin and leave immediately. After the monarch said secretly, he loosened his hand and the power of the origin flew out of his hand. Qin Feiyang. No, the Sea Python Demon Emperor immediately jumped up and grabbed the power of the origin. Do it. Seeing this scene, the spies hidden in the dark finally came out. There were hundreds of them. The ultimate meaning, the will of the heavenly Tao, burst out. They were aggressive. Boom! At the same time, the Divine King, Zhizun, Boss Ji, and the others also came out of the space divine object. In the nick of time, the Sea Python Demon Emperor roared and threw the power of the origin in his hand into the sky. Seeing this scene, hundreds of spies couldn't help but have a trace of doubt in their eyes. But the next moment, they couldn't help but be shocked. In the empty sky, a hand stretched out from the void. This hand grabbed the power of the origin, and then the power of the origin disappeared. As the power of the origin disappeared, two figures appeared in the sky. Looking at these two people, hundreds of spies were dumbfounded. What's going on? Why are there two Qin Feiyang? They looked at Qin Feiyang standing in front of the monarch, and then looked at Qin Feiyang standing in the sky. They are exactly the same. What's going on? Tell the monarch that I thank him for the power of the origin. And the monarch, the divine king, and Jizun, wait for my wrath. High in the sky. Qin Feiyang sneered and activated the dual will of the heavenly Tao. In an instant, he took Long Chen and flew away without looking back. At the same time, Long Chen also activated his god's domain and merged with the heaven and earth. He controlled the power of the rules between heaven and earth and rushed toward the monarch and the hundreds of spies. Oh no, we've been fooled. Hundreds of spies finally reacted. With a roar, they were ready to chase after Qin Feiyang and the sea python. However, looking at the surging power of the rules, they couldn't help but dodge in horror. They could only watch as Qin Feiyang and the sea python arrogantly disappeared from their sight. Chapter 45-52. Are they leaving just like that? The hundreds of spies were all in a daze when they saw this scene. In such a short time, the other party disappeared in front of their eyes. That was too fast. It was so fast that they felt like they were dreaming. The monarch, the divine king, the supremacy of the human race, Boss G, and the other elders were also stunned. Even though they knew that their plan would fail, they never imagined that it would fail so thoroughly. Those brats had obtained the source energy without any effort at all, and then slipped away. The monarch coughed and looked at the hundreds of spies anxiously. He shouted, "If they don't leave, are they going to stay and drink tea with us? Hurry up and chase them." Chase? How can we catch up? The hundreds of spies smiled bitterly. The other party had mastered two wills of the Great Path and was far faster than them. If they chased these people, they wouldn't even be qualified to eat dust. Looking at the helpless expressions of the group of spies, the monarch couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He said, "Just go and chase them symbolically, lest Dong Hanzong comes later and says that you are passive and negligent. At that time, he will make you look bad in front of the emperor." That's true. The hundreds of spies quivered and immediately chased in the direction where Qin Feiyang disappeared. What a group of funny and cute people. The divine king shook his head and laughed. A wills of the Great Path expert was actually so afraid of Dong Hanzong. This shows that Dong Hanzong is indeed very prestigious in the Central Dynasty. The supremacy of the human race smiled and turned his head to look at the motionless sea python demon emperor. Obviously, the sea python demon emperor was already a pawn. He looked at Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 people. He noticed that the 10 of them didn't move at all, not making a sound. Don't tell me they are also fake. Soon, a trace of surprise appeared in the supremacy of the human race's eyes. Fake? The monarch, the divine king, Boss G, and the others looked at the 10 people suspiciously. Who cares if they are fake or not? We just need to take them seriously. As for what happens after that, it has nothing to do with us. The monarch waved his hand. As soon as he said those words, space-time passageways began to appear in the sky. Powerful auras surged out from the tunnel. Qin Feiyang, today is your last day. Accompanied by wild laughter, Dong Hanzong was the first to rush out of the space-time tunnel, his face full of excitement. It was as if Qin Feiyang was already his meal. Dong Qingyuan followed closely behind. He was also in high spirits. However, when the two of them appeared and saw the peaceful 8 Immortal Mountain, they couldn't help but be stunned. What's going on? Logically speaking, shouldn't a battle have broken out here? But why was it so calm now? Very soon, they saw the sea python demon emperor, Dong Xiaofan, and the others standing in front of the monarch and the others. The sea python demon emperor still maintained the appearance of Qin Feiyang. Therefore, Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan thought that he was Qin Feiyang. Whoosh! The two of them immediately charged over in surprise. They thought that the monarch and the others were indeed powerful. They could suppress Qin Feiyang so easily. Qin Feiyang, you didn't expect to fall into my hands so soon, did you? Dong Hanzong rushed over and landed beside the monarch, staring at the sea python demon emperor and laughing. Looking at the arrogant and insufferably arrogant Dong Hanzong, the monarch and the others had an extremely strange expression. Was this person stupid? Although the sea python demon emperor now looked exactly like Qin Feiyang, there were obviously no injuries on his body, and they didn't use any aura to suppress him. Speaking bluntly, even a fool would know that in a situation where he was completely unharmed, how could he suppress Qin Feiyang? However, this person. He actually believed that the person in front of him was Qin Feiyang. It seemed that he was even worse than a fool. Whoosh! More and more people dared to come. There were the Death God Army, the Monster Kings of the Kunpeng Sea region, and the Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain Range. There were also the powerhouses of the Will of Heaven from the top 10 families. And the patriarchs of the top 10 families also came to the scene in person. Qin Feiyang. Looking at the sea python demon emperor who had disguised himself as Qin Feiyang, all the people present were in high spirits. They finally caught this person. At that moment, everyone stepped forward and surrounded the sea python demon emperor. Xiaofan, Xiaoyuan, Mingho, Dong Liming, Dong Jinxiang, and the others were also ecstatic when they saw Dong Xiaofan and the others. Ahem. The monarch coughed dryly and looked at Dong Hanzong. That, you shut up first. Without waiting for the monarch to speak, Dong Hanzong waved his hand and interrupted, staring at Qin Feiyang, and said with a sinister smile, "Let me take care of this person first." The monarch's mouth twitched slightly. Fine. You didn't let me say it. Don't blame me for not telling you later. Do whatever you want. Say something. What? Now that you're in our hands, you don't even have the courage to speak? Dong Hanzong looked at the silent sea python demon emperor and sneered. However, the sea python demon emperor had a look of ridicule on his face. What was a clown? This was it. Looking at the sea python demon emperor's eyes, Dong Hanzong frowned. He took a step forward and slapped the sea python demon emperor's face. The sea python demon emperor was sent flying with blood flowing from his mouth. What's going on? This doesn't seem to be Qin Feiyang's character. Sky Dragon, don't you think this is strange? Why is there only Qin Feiyang and not Golden-Winged Wolf King or Madman Mo? Kunpeng murmured. You noticed it too. Moreover, this Qin Feiyang is too weak. There wasn't even a single scar on his body before. It doesn't look like he was suppressed at all. The dragon god whispered. Hearing this, Kunpeng once again looked at the sea python demon emperor. Suddenly, when he saw the blood at the corner of the sea python demon emperor's mouth, his pupils immediately shrank as he roared, "He is not Qin Feiyang." N. This loud roar made everyone involuntarily stare blankly. That's right. He is indeed not Qin Feiyang, because Qin Feiyang has purple gold dragon blood, and this person's blood is the same as that of an ordinary person. Kunpeng also noticed this and hurriedly shouted. Blood. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately looked at the blood that the sea python demon emperor spat out. It was indeed not purple gold dragon blood. Impossible. Dong Hanzong was also dumbfounded at first. When he came back to his senses, he turned to look at the king and roared, "What's going on? He was a fake to begin with." The king said. "Fake," Dong Hanzong muttered. He actually dared to be so arrogant in front of a fake Qin Feiyang for so long? Wasn't this a joke? Why didn't you say so earlier? Suddenly, he was burning with anger, full of resentment and anger, and vented it on the king. The king said indifferently, "I wanted to tell you before, but you told me to shut up. What can I do?" Heard it. Dong Hanzong's expression stiffened. It turned out that the king wanted to talk about this before. "Then where is Qin Feiyang?" Dong Qingyuan said in a deep voice. His joyful mood instantly vanished without a trace. "They ran away. The people sent by His Majesty are chasing them." The king said. "What? You actually let them run away?" Dong Hanzong suddenly frowned, looking extremely ferocious. "We have no choice, they are too cunning." The king shrugged helplessly. The dragon god glanced at Dong Hanzong, looked at the king and asked, "What about the origin force?" The origin force was also taken away by them. The king sighed. The dragon god was stunned. Kunpeng, the members of the death god army, the monster king, the beast king, and the people of the top 10 families were also stunned. They ran away. The origin force was also snatched away. Didn't this mean that the plan had failed? Fortunately, these little guys have been rescued. Mingho, hurry up and come home with me. The Ji family head looked at Ji Mingho and beckoned. Ji Mingho and the others were also acting very strangely, because when they saw their father coming, they didn't show the slightest excitement, nor did they show the joy of being rescued. But for this, the 10 family heads didn't suspect anything, because in their opinion, the 10 might have been frightened. But then, they soon found that something was wrong. Because in the face of their shouts, Dong Zifeng and the others were indifferent. "Xiaofan? What's wrong with you? Don't scare me." Dong Liming walked quickly to Dong Xiaofan, his face full of concern. The king and the others had been paying attention to Dong Xiaofan and the others, and now they were sure that these 10 must be imposters. "Xiaofan, don't be afraid, father is here." Dong Liming walked to Dong Xiaofan and kept comforting him. Even the king and the others didn't know that these 10 people were imposters before, let alone the 10 family heads who saw their children being rescued. Dong Xiaofan finally reacted and raised his head to look at Dong Liming. Suddenly, Dong Xiaofan grinned, and a destructive aura suddenly rushed out from his body. "Xiaofan." Dong Liming was shocked and furious. The next moment, before he could stop it, Dong Xiaofan self-destructed in front of him. How could this be? Everyone activated their ultimate profound meaning to block the wave of self-destruction, their faces full of shock. However, before they could react, Ji Mingho and the others also raised their heads at the same time, looking at everyone with a grin, and then self-destructed one after another. "Mingho. Young Master Yuan. Xiao Sha." The 10 family heads were desperate to the extreme. What was going on? Why did these children self-destruct? The dragon god muttered, could it be that they were controlled by the soul-controlling technique? Soul-controlling technique? The 10 family heads were stunned for a moment, then they were furious and roared, "It must be like this, Long Chen controlled them and made them self-destruct in front of us, letting us experience this feeling of despair. These people are too cruel, simply bastards." The king, the divine king, Jizun, Boss Ji, and the others were stunned. These people's imagination was too rich. Had no one thought that Dong Xiaofan and the others were fake? Damn it! Who are you? Dong Hanzong came back to his senses, with a monstrous anger, he rushed to the front of the Sea Python Demon Emperor, grabbed the Sea Python Demon Emperor's clothes, and roared. "Ha! Your exasperated expression is so beautiful," the Sea Python Demon Emperor said. "You're courting death." Dong Hanzong's killing intent rose, took out a facial restoration pill, and stuffed it into the Sea Python Demon Emperor's mouth. "It's you." Very quickly. Looking at the Sea Lion Demon King who had recovered his true appearance, Kunpeng's face was full of disbelief. The remaining 2 chapters will be released at 11 o'clock. Chapter 45-53. Because Kunpeng had always thought that the Sea Python Demon Emperor had died in the hands of Qin Feiyang. But he never expected that he would appear in front of him alive. And he even pretended to be Qin Feiyang and ruined the whole plan. You must be surprised. Suddenly, the voice of the Sea Python Demon Emperor changed. Long Chen. Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. That's right. The voice of the Sea Python Demon Emperor was Long Chen's voice. Yes. The Sea Python Demon Emperor is under my control. I am talking to you now. I have to admit that your plan is quite perfect. If it were someone else, they would definitely fall into your trap. But unfortunately, you met us. Long Chen laughed. Dong Hanzong clenched his hands and roared, "Where are you and Qin Feiyang hiding? Come out and fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. This is a war between 2 worlds. Who will fight you one-on-one? You are an adult. Don't say such childish words all day." Finally. Do you know why your plan failed? Because the person who carried out this plan was not smart enough. I don't know. Who came up with this plan? I don't know who carried out this plan. But I know that it must have nothing to do with you, Dong Hanzong. Because with your brain, you will never be able to come up with such a good plan. Long Chen laughed. Boom. As his voice fell, the body of the Sea Python Demon Emperor also exploded on the spot. The Sea Python Demon Emperor had long been deprived of its ultimate meaning. It didn't even have the cultivation of the sovereign realm, so its self-explosion naturally couldn't cause any harm to the people present. However, before the self-explosion, Long Chen's words made Kunpeng, the Dragon God, the 10 Patriarchs, and the members of the Death God army look at Dong Hanzong. Because the person who carried out this plan was Dong Hanzong. Why are you looking at me? There must be something else going on here. Dong Hanzong roared. You are the one carrying out the plan. What else can there be? Kunpeng frowned. Dong Hanzong looked flustered, but suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "It's impossible for them to notice such a meticulous plan. Someone must have tipped them off. Leak information?" Kunpeng was stunned. That's right. That must be it. Who? Who's tipping them off? Stand out with me. Dong Hanzong swept his gaze over everyone present and roared in anger. Whoosh! At this moment, hundreds of spies returned one after another. How is it? The Dragon God looked at them and asked. Too fast. Qin Feiyang has 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. We can't catch up at all. A group of spies shook their heads. Sigh. The Dragon God sighed. Why were these little fellows so difficult to deal with? And where did this problem come from? Could it be that there was really a spy who tipped off Qin Feiyang and the others? Stand out consciously. As long as you confess, I can still consider giving you a way out. But if you're stubborn and I find out who it is, then only death awaits you. Dong Hanzong's face was gloomy. He knew the consequences of the plan failing. So he must find a scapegoat. Dong Hanzong, I don't care if there's a spy or not. Today, you must give us an explanation. That's right. Our children died because of you. If you don't give us a satisfactory explanation, then don't blame us for being impolite. The 10 patriarchs spoke one after another, staring at Dong Hanzong angrily. What do you mean they died because of me? It was Long Chen who controlled them to self-destruct. Dong Hanzong said angrily. Yes. It was indeed Long Chen who controlled them to self-destruct. But this is also because your ability to execute is not good enough. If your ability is not good enough, don't try to show off. If it was Lu Yunfeng, this would definitely not happen. The 10 patriarchs roared. The sovereign divine weapons lurking in their bodies began to stir. Everyone, don't be impulsive. Dong Qingyuan saw the situation was bad and quickly stood out to smooth things over. Shut your mouth. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Why are you telling us what to do again and again? Let me tell you, you can't escape the blame for this. The 10 patriarchs gloomily looked at Dong Qingyuan. Dong Qingyuan's expression froze. Then, the anger in his heart couldn't be controlled. Aren't you relying on the 10 direct descendants? Why are you so arrogant? Without this identity, you're nothing. Are you done quarreling? Suddenly, a low and angry voice sounded. Your Majesty. The crowd was startled. They quickly turned around and saw 5 figures standing in the air behind them. It was the Emperor, Ji Sui, Moon Fairy Princess, Lu Jiajin, and the inner demons. Your Majesty, when did you arrive? Dong Hanzong asked in fear. The inner demon sneered, when you said there were spies, we were already here. Seeing you quarreling so loudly, we didn't want to disturb you. Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. He quickly ran to the emperor and knelt in the void. Your Majesty, let me explain. Shut up. The plan has failed. What's there to explain? The inner demon sneered. You, Dong Hanzong glared at the inner demons. He wanted to say something, but suddenly, he frowned and looked at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. What? Still want to bite? Heart Demon pursed her lips into a sneer. It's you. Dong Hanzong suddenly jumped up and pointed at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. Everyone looked at Dong Hanzong in shock. What did he mean? Yes. It's you. You're the one who tipped off Qin Feiyang. Dong Hanzong gloomily said. Everyone was stunned. Was this Dong Hanzong crazy? Biting whoever he saw? This kind of groundless guess was enough to just think about it. How could he say it out loud? If you say that we tipped off the plan, then there must be a reason. Then what's the reason? Lu Jiajin regained his senses and looked at Dong Hanzong. Because you hate me for snatching the right to execute this plan. You want to use this opportunity to kill me. Dong Hanzong roared. Lu Jiajin was stunned and smiled. Now that I think about it, it does make sense. Admit it. Dong Hanzong sneered and looked at the emperor. Your Majesty, they have admitted it. Please quickly give the order to kill these 2 traitors. Idiot. The inner demons shook his head. Which ear heard them admit it? A cornered dog jumping over the wall is a natural reaction, but they can't be so stupid. Stop talking nonsense. Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng have been with me all this time. How could they have tipped off Qin Feiyang? Princess Yuxian coldly snorted, her eyes filled with disgust. What? Dong Hanzong's expression froze, and he said in disbelief, they have been with you all this time. What are you doing together? Why do you care? Who do you think you are? Do I need to report to you? Princess Yuxian said angrily. He actually spoke to her with a questioning tone. Did he really think he was someone important? No. There must be something wrong. Dong Hanzong shook his head. All of a sudden, he looked at the king and the others and said in a deep voice, "Could it be you all? Us?" The king and the others were stunned. Ji Lao shouted, "This old man has always been a civilized person, but today I can't help it. Are you a fucking dog? Biting anyone you see? Qin Feiyang is your descendant. You must have betrayed the divine kingdom long ago and joined forces with Qin Feiyang. That's why they know our plan." Dong Hanzong roared crazily. "Is that so? Then you have to ask His Majesty. Because His Majesty has been sending people to monitor us all this time. His Majesty should know whether we have leaked information or not." The divine king sneered. "Monitor?" Dong Hanzong was stunned and quickly looked at the emperor. The emperor looked a little embarrassed. He didn't expect that the king and the others had already noticed. That's right. From the moment the king and the others left the imperial palace, he had sent people to monitor the king and the others. Even when they came to the 8 Immortal Mountain, these people were still there. And these people who were monitoring them were among the hundreds of spies. If it's not Lu Yunfeng or the king, then who is it? Who wants to harm me so much? Dong Hanzong roared. At this moment, not only the people of the 10 lineal families, but also the members of the Death God army looked at him with disgust in their hearts. A real man should dare to take responsibility for his actions. He shouldn't keep shirking his responsibility whenever he encountered a problem. Lu Jiajin smiled faintly and looked at Dong Hanzong, saying, "There is indeed a problem, but I think it should be your problem." "My problem? What problem can I have? I've been following your plan step by step." "If there is a problem, it's your plan that has a problem," Dong Hanzong said angrily. "Dong Hanzong, don't talk nonsense. Long Chen said that the plan is perfect." Kunpeng said. "Who asked you to talk nonsense?" Dong Hanzong glared at Kunpeng angrily. Kunpeng raised his eyebrows. How dare he talk to him like that? No matter what, he was still a senior. And he didn't have such an attitude before. As expected. Once a person was driven crazy, his nature would be revealed. And this was Dong Hanzong's nature. He was arrogant, conceited, and looked down on everyone. "Yes. This is your problem. I want to ask, did you confirm Qin Feiyang's identity in advance?" Lu Jiajin said lightly. "Confirm Qin Feiyang's identity?" Dong Hanzong muttered. He looked up at Lu Jiajin and said angrily, "The person who made the deal with Qin Feiyang was the Lord. I was still on Imperial Capital Mountain. How could I confirm it? The Lord should be the one to confirm it. So, you didn't confirm it. Let me ask again, did you confirm the identity of Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 people?" Lu Jiajin said. "Is there something wrong with your ears? I've said before, I was on Imperial Capital Mountain before the deal." Dong Hanzong roared. "I know you're on Imperial Capital Mountain. But you're the executor of this plan. Didn't you think of these problems? You've dealt with Qin Feiyang and the others, and you know that they are very cunning people. Shouldn't you think more about it to prevent these problems?" Lu Jiajin asked aggressively. Dong Hanzong was speechless for a moment. Indeed, he didn't think of these possibilities at all. Chapter 45-54. Lu Yunfeng, what do you mean by that? Is there a problem with Xiaofeng's identity? The 10 family heads looked at Lu Jiajin and asked nervously. "I don't know. Because I didn't see it with my own eyes. But I was thinking that since Qin Feiyang could let the Sea Python Demon Emperor impersonate him, he could also let others impersonate your children." Lu Jiajin said. Impersonation, the 10 family heads looked at each other. In that case, the people who self-destructed in front of them might not be their children. Moreover, if I were in your shoes, I definitely wouldn't kill your child like this. After all, they are the descendants of the direct family. Keeping them alive is more valuable than killing them. Lu Jiajin said. What you said makes sense. They might not be dead yet. The 10 family heads' eyes trembled, and a trace of hope was ignited in their hearts. Lu Jiajin looked at the 10 family heads and walked to the front of the emperor, bowing, Your Majesty, I am also in the wrong. Huh? The emperor looked at him, puzzled. What wrong did you do? The one who carried out the plan wasn't me. Princess Yuxian was suspicious. My mistake was that I didn't tell Dong Hanzong about these details. I thought that a smart person like him would consider these small details, but I didn't expect him to ignore them. If I told him this at the imperial palace and let him be more careful, perhaps this wouldn't have happened. Lu Jiajin blamed himself. The emperor looked at Lu Jiajin with eyes full of admiration. Then, he looked at Dong Hanzong and said angrily, Do you see that? As the one who carried out the plan, not only did you not reflect on yourself, but you also blindly shirked your responsibility. Look at Lu Yunfeng. This matter has nothing to do with him, but he took the initiative to take responsibility. Facing him, don't you feel ashamed? Dong Hanzong lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly. You have disappointed me too much. In the 4 continents, you have already fought with Qin Feiyang and the others. You should know them the best. But now, you actually made such a low-level mistake. You didn't even confirm their identity before making a deal with them. I really regret letting you carry out this plan. At this moment, it was indeed too late for regrets. Why did he listen to Dong Qingyuan's instigation? Why didn't he use Lu Yunfeng, who was a talented general, instead of Dong Hanzong, who was an idiot? Right now, not only had his plan failed, but he had also lost his source energy. It was even more crucial. Dong Xiaofan and the other 10 people were also unable to find the culprit. After wasting 100,000 strands of origin energy and failing to save 10 people, the clan heads of the 10 great clans would definitely not let this matter rest. Your Majesty, I'm really innocent. If I were to make a deal with Qin Feiyang, would definitely think of these things. But this time, the person who made the deal with Qin Feiyang was the monarch. It was him who didn't think of these problems. No matter what, you can't blame it on me. Dong Hanzong looked aggrieved. Bastard! The emperor was furious. He was clearly in the wrong, but he didn't know how to repent. He kept on quibbling and shirking responsibility. He didn't have any sense of responsibility at all. He was really blind. How could he put such a person in an important position? Dong Hanzong, the person who made the deal with Qin Feiyang, is indeed the monarch. But you have to be clear about one thing. You are the executor of this plan. The monarch is following your arrangements. Moreover, the monarch hates Qin Feiyang to begin with. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. It's already not easy for the monarch to endure the killing intent in his heart and make a deal with Qin Feiyang step by step. Lu Jiajin sighed. But he's the monarch, the dignified monarch. Doesn't he have any brains? Dong Hanzong roared. The inner demons mocked, but you're the deputy commander of the Death God army. Why don't you have any brains? You, Dong Hanzong stared at the inner demons angrily. If looks could kill, the inner demons would have been executed by 1,000 cuts. You shut up. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to speak now. Princess Yuxian said angrily. This person was truly a laughingstock. Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. Looking at Princess Yuxian's eyes, he knew that he would never have the chance to capture this woman's heart. Damn it! Why did it turn out like this? It was originally an opportunity to soar, but it turned out to be so embarrassing. The monarch took a deep breath and said, I announce. In an instant, everyone looked at the monarch and held their breaths. Because those who knew the monarch knew that when the monarch called himself I, something big must have happened. With immediate effect, Dong Hanzong is deposed as the deputy commander of the Death God Army. Dong Qingyuan is deposed as the commander of the Death God Army. In the future, he will be responsible for guarding the gate of Imperial Capital Mountain. The monarch said. What? Dong Hanzong's face turned pale. Dong Qingyuan's eyes trembled. He looked at the monarch and said, Your Majesty, why am I being punished too? Don't you know why I'm punishing you? The monarch roared. If it weren't for your instigation, would I have let Dong Hanzong carry out this plan? If it weren't for Dong Hanzong's stupidity, would this plan have failed? Punishing you is already a light punishment. If it weren't for your loyalty, I would have killed you already. Dong Qingyuan's body trembled when he heard that. He slowly collapsed to the ground, his face ashen. Princess Yuxian asked, Father, who will replace the commander and deputy commander of the Death God Army? The commander and deputy commander will be announced after I discuss it with your mother. As for now, the monarch looked at the inner demons and Lu Jiajin and said, Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng, I order you to lead the Death God Army to track down the whereabouts of Qin Feiyang and the others. Yes, Your Majesty. The two of them bowed and replied. Everyone in the Death God Army, listen up. Cooperate with Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian. Anyone who dares to disobey will be killed without mercy. The monarch shouted. Yes, Your Majesty. The tens of thousands of people in the Death God Army shouted in unison. The inner demons and Lu Jiajin looked at each other with a smile in their eyes. They were undoubtedly one step closer to their goal. The monarch looked at the Kuan Peng and the Dragon God and said, You must also lead the demon kings and beast kings under you to assist the brothers. Don't be foolish like Dong Qingyuan. Okay. The two of them nodded. At this moment, the inner demons and Lu Jiajin's status rose by a large margin. Because not only the Death God Army, but even the Kuan Peng and the Dragon God had to listen to them. The strongest forces in the Central Dynasty were the Death God Army, the Kuan Peng Sea region, and the Sky Dragon Mountain Range. Now that these three forces were in the hands of the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, didn't that mean that they controlled almost half of the Central Dynasty? Moreover, the main families were also under the control of the inner demons and Lu Jiajin. Because the will of heaven powerhouses of the main families were in the 10th squad, directly under the two of them. Thus, at present, only the 10 great direct family clans and those unknown branch family clans remained. The side families didn't need to be bothered. And the 10 main families wanted to be on good terms with the inner demons. So, the two of them were at the peak of their power in the Central Dynasty. Don't disappoint me. The monarch looked at the inner demons and said. We will do our best. The two bowed. The monarch smiled and looked at Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan, coldly snorting, useless trash. Then, he opened a space tunnel and left with Ji Sui. Lu Yunfeng, Mingho, I'll leave them to you. If you need any help in the future, don't hesitate to ask. The 10 patriarchs gathered around and looked at Xinmo and Xinmo. Lu Jiajin smiled, as long as they're alive, we'll do our best to save them. Thank you. The 10 house lords thanked him and looked at the two, coldly laughing, serves them right. Then, they opened a space tunnel and left. After watching them leave, Lu Jiajin turned to the monarch and smiled, Thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. The Divine King waved his hand and glanced at Dong Hanzong, coldly snorting, As long as you're unhappy, we're just wasting our efforts. Divine King, you're a great man. Don't bother with 2 stray dogs. The inner demons laughed. Who are you calling stray dogs? Dong Hanzong looked up and stared at the inner demons, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Do you even need to ask? Aside from you and your master, who else could I be referring to? The inner demons looked at him mockingly. Boom! Dong Hanzong stood up and opened his Yin Kuan domain. A terrifying aura rolled out. But his aura could only intimidate others. For the inner demons, it had no effect. Do you want to fight? The inner demons smirked and shouted, Death God Army, heed my command. The members of the Death God Army looked at each other and didn't hesitate for long. They rushed forward and stood behind the inner demons. Although they were a little afraid of Dong Hanzong's strength, the emperor had already ordered that they must obey the orders of the two brothers. Try and see if your Yin Kuan domain can withstand the attack of the entire Death God Army. The inner demons looked at Dong Hanzong and sneered. How dare you? Dong Qingyuan's face changed when he heard that. He hurriedly got up and looked at the Death God Army and shouted. But the members of the Death God Army were indifferent. Dong Qingyuan, do you think you're still the commander of the Death God Army? You're just an ordinary person guarding the gate of Imperial Capital Mountain. No, I should call you a watchdog. Everyone, heed my command. Remember to bring some bones to them when you enter Imperial Capital Mountain. After all, watchdogs have to be fed to have the strength to guard the gate. Am I right? The inner demons laughed mercilessly. The members of the Death God Army, the monster kings of the Kunpeng Sea region, and the beast kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range couldn't help but laugh when they heard that. The king and the others also couldn't help but laugh. You're too humiliating. The Moon Fairy Princess also looked at the inner demon speechlessly. Even the Kunpeng and the dragon gods' faces were red. That was why people said that one shouldn't be too arrogant. Otherwise, once they were in trouble, others would take the opportunity to beat them up. Fortunately, they had been neutral and didn't participate in the dispute between the four. Otherwise, they might have ended up like Dong Qingyuan and the inner demons. Chapter 45-55 Green Wind City. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen changed their appearances and easily entered the city with the enshrined order. Once they returned to Green Wind City, it meant that they were ready to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. In the Battle of Thousand Devil Valley, Madman used the evil power of Thousand Devil Valley to destroy the 200,000 strands of origin energy in Princess Moon Fairy's hands. At the same time, Qin Feiyang held Princess Moon Fairy hostage and obtained more than 330,000 strands of origin energy. And before that, Long Chen made a powerful move and killed the 9 commanders in Imperial Capital Mountain. In addition, during this period of time, they first massacred Sky Dragon Mountain Range and obtained more than 400,000 Ultimate Law's inheritance. Now, they used Dong Xiaofan and the others to obtain 100,000 strands of origin energy. It could be said that the Central Dynasty suffered heavy losses. On the contrary, Qin Feiyang and the others made a lot of money. As the saying goes, quit while you're ahead. After earning so much, of course, they had to make good use of these resources and continue to improve their overall strength. Moreover, after this lesson, the emperor would definitely be very careful in the future. In other words, it would not be easy to continue to plot against the emperor and the Central Dynasty. So, instead of wasting time to think about these problems, it was better to calm down and cultivate for a period of time. After all, strength was king. No matter how smart one was, in the face of absolute strength, it was useless. This is too crazy. These bastards, is there really no one who can deal with them? Not only did they obtain 100,000 strands of origin energy, but they also played around with the emperor and the others. Are they trying to defy the heavens? In the city, Qin Feiyang and Long Chen walked leisurely on the streets. Listening to the discussions around them, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but curl into a smile. The Central Dynasty's speed of spreading the news was admirable. They had just returned to Green Wind City and the news had already spread in the city. Sigh. What kind of sin did they commit? Just a few brats who are still wet behind the ears and have stirred up chaos in our divine kingdom. I really admire those big shots from Imperial Capital Mountain. Each and every one of them is an existence with monstrous power and strength. But now, they have been defeated by Qin Feiyang and the others again and again. No. Qin Feiyang and the others are simply toying with the big shots of Imperial Capital Mountain like monkeys. Along the street. In a small tea house. Several young men and women sat together, drinking tea while shaking their heads and sighing. That's right. Ever since they broke into the Central Dynasty, there hasn't been a day of peace. Every day, I hear about their glorious deeds. I wonder when the Central Dynasty will be at peace again. Typing? It's harder than ascending to the heavens. Didn't you see that Qin Feiyang was determined not to leave until he destroyed the Central Dynasty? To be honest, I'm really puzzled. Have we ever offended him? Why is he targeting us? Everyone in the tavern had their brows tightly knitted together. When Qin Feiyang and Long Chen passed by the tea house and heard these discussions, there was a trace of suspicion on their faces. The ordinary people of the Central Dynasty didn't know about the feud between the Divine Kingdom and the Sky Cloud Realm. Those who invaded the Sky Cloud Realm before were all from the 4 great continents. And the monarchs of the 4 great continents, the Divine King, and the Supremes are all directly under the orders of the Divine Kingdom. The ordinary people of the Central Dynasty might not know about it. Long Chen muttered. Qin Feiyang pondered and suddenly transmitted his voice, "Why don't we try and see how they will react when they know the truth?" Good idea. I also want to see if the ordinary people of the Central Dynasty are the same as the Emperor, Dong Qingyuan, and Dong Hanzong, who see the Sky Cloud Realm as an inferior civilization and disdain us. Long Chen nodded. The two looked at each other and entered a side alley. Seeing that there was no one around, a phantom pill appeared and quickly changed into a strange new face. Immediately after, the two turned and walked out of the alley, entered the tea house, found a place by the window, and sat opposite each other. "What kind of tea would you like to drink?" A waiter ran over and asked with a smile. "Anything is fine." Long Chen smiled slightly. "Okay." The waiter nodded. In this small tea house, there was actually no good tea to be found, as long as it could be drunk. After a while, the waiter ran over with a pot of tea in 2 tea bowls, and said with a flattering smile, "Enjoy." After that, he turned around and continued to busy himself. Qin Feiyang poured 2 bowls, pushed 1 bowl in front of Long Chen, and said with a smile, "Try it." Long Chen shook his head and laughed. He wasn't a pretentious person. He didn't necessarily have to drink divine tea. In fact, ordinary tea leaves, sometimes tasted carefully, had a different flavor. It's okay. There's sweetness in bitterness. This is just like life, the sweetness comes after the bitterness. After tasting it, Long Chen said with a smile, "You're really a cultured person. Just a sip of tea and you can understand the philosophy of life." Qin Feiyang laughed. "You're laughing at me." Long Chen shook his head, glanced at the guests at other tables, and deliberately raised his voice. He shook his head and said, "I really don't know if the grudge between Qin Feiyang and our divine kingdom is true or not." He deliberately said this to the others. The people in the tea house were all talking about this at the moment. Hearing Long Chen's sudden words, everyone couldn't help but be stunned, and then immediately looked at Long Chen. Seeing the opportunity, Qin Feiyang hurriedly made a gesture to Long Chen to keep quiet, and whispered, "Don't talk nonsense." After that, he looked at the other guests and said with an apologetic smile, "Sorry, my brother likes to talk nonsense when he drinks. Don't take it to heart." Drink? Everyone was stunned. Wasn't he drinking tea? Was the tea he drank made of wine? He was obviously fooling them. What did he want to cover up? Sorry. Qin Feiyang smiled apologetically again, and then pretended to be angry, stared at Long Chen, and said angrily, "What are you talking about? How can you talk nonsense?" Yes. Long Chen nodded repeatedly and said with an embarrassed smile, "I'll be careful next time." The two echoed each other, which made the people in the tavern more curious. Finally, there was a white-clothed young man who thought he was a man of striking appearance. He picked up his teacup elegantly and walked to Qin Feiyang's side. He smiled and said, "Brothers, may I sit down and talk? You took the bait so quickly?" Qin Feiyang smiled secretly, looked at the young man in white suspiciously, and asked, "Do we know you?" "No." The young man in white shook his head and said with a smile, "But it's fate to meet. You really know how to make friends." Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and reached out his hand, saying, "Sit down." "Thank you." The young man in white thanked him, and then sat down next to the two, and started to talk politely. Qin Feiyang was speechless, and said, "Don't be so polite. If you have anything to ask, just ask." "Brother, you're so straightforward." The young man in white laughed and asked curiously, "Just now, you two brothers said that Qin Feiyang has a grudge against our divine kingdom. What is it? Is there?" "I don't think so." Qin Feiyang shook his head quickly. "Brother, we're all sensible people. Why are you pretending?" The young man in white looked helpless. Qin Feiyang looked hesitant. "You're a man. Can you not be so hesitant? What's the big deal?" A charming woman in her 30s said unhappily. She simply could not stand Qin Feiyang's way of doing things. "I'm not being hesitant, but this is a serious matter. I don't dare to talk about it. Besides, we're just hearsay. Don't take it seriously." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "I thought it was something serious." "It's just hearsay." "Hearsay? What are you afraid of?" "That's right. Brother, just tell us. We're really curious. If you really can't, you can just tell us a story." Everyone said. Even the owner of the small tea house and the waiter looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. "Hearsay." Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang with great interest. "I can tell you this, but you can't spread it around, because it will affect the reputation of the central dynasty," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. "So serious?" Everyone was surprised and even more curious. Qin Feiyang said, "Do you know where this Qin Feiyang came from?" "I've heard of this. He seems to be from a small place called Tianyun Realm." Someone said. "Yes. Not only Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, Long Chen, Golden Wing Wolf King, Demon Ancestor, Mu Qing, Mu Tianyang, and others are all from Tianyun Realm. And it is said that, many years ago, the king was ordered to invade Tianyun Realm. With the arrival of the army of our divine kingdom, the people of Tianyun Realm were plunged into misery and suffering. There was even a continent where not a single creature was left. All of them died miserably." Qin Feiyang said. "There's such a thing?" Everyone was surprised. "I don't know whether it's true or not. But it is said that the first invasion wasn't enough, so they invaded a second time. But this time, they were very unlucky. Because at that time, Qin Feiyang and his group of people from Tianyun Realm rose to power. Their strength was heaven-defying. Not only did they suppress the geniuses of the four continents, but they also stopped the invasion of our divine kingdom. It is said that even the ruler of our divine kingdom personally came to Tianyun realm at that time. But for some reason, the ruler of our divine kingdom didn't kill these people. Later, these people began to take revenge on us. They spread to the divine kingdom, killed their way to the four continents, destroyed the beast race, the sea race, and made the human race, the purple-gold divine dragon race, and the god race suffer heavy losses. But it wasn't enough. They killed their way to the central dynasty and tried to subvert our entire divine kingdom. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. As soon as these words came out, the entire tavern fell into a dead silence. Everyone was shocked. Even the ruler of their divine nation, who came to the sky cloud realm in person, couldn't kill these people. How was this possible? Was this a joke? Qin Feiyang and the others were very strong, but they weren't strong enough to confront the ruler of the divine kingdom. It was indeed a shocking news. No wonder these two had been hiding it. If this news were to spread in the central dynasty, how big of a sensation would it cause? Chapter 45-56. Just think about it. The ruler came to the sky cloud realm in person but failed to kill these small fries. What a shame. It would really affect the reputation of the divine kingdom. Someone asked, "You just said that the monarch and the others invaded the sky cloud realm under orders. Who ordered them?" Of course, it's the ruler of our divine kingdom. After all, even our Lord Ruler has come to the sky cloud realm in person. Qin Feiyang was speechless. Very surprised. Someone could ask such a stupid question. Who could give orders to the monarch, the divine king, and Jizun? Why? The sky cloud realm is such a small place. Why did the ruler let the monarch and the others invade? Everyone present had a confused look on their faces. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He really didn't know the reason why the divine kingdom invaded the sky cloud realm. It's really strange. It's impossible to invade the sky cloud realm for no reason. Everyone frowned and fell into deep thought. Hey. Don't take it too seriously. This is just a story we told when we had nothing to do. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said. Story? I feel that it's not a story. The sky cloud realm, what kind of magical continent is this? It can give birth to so many monsters. Everyone murmured. Their eyes were full of curiosity. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly, and he said with a smile, in fact, we can't judge the strength of the sky cloud realm. Think about it, if the sky cloud realm is very strong, when our divine kingdom invaded for the first time, would the people of the sky cloud realm be plunged into misery and suffering? That's true. The creatures of the four continents can plunge the people of the sky cloud realm into misery and suffering, let alone our central dynasty. It seems that the sky cloud realm is just an inferior civilization. Someone laughed disdainfully. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen looked at each other. These four words really made people angry from the bottom of their hearts. Long Chen said calmly, the sky cloud realm may not be strong, but isn't it a bit inappropriate to use the words inferior civilization to humiliate them? There's nothing inappropriate. Inferior civilization is just a bunch of trash. They're just a waste of food. They're not worthy of respect at all. Only our God's nation is worthy of being called an advanced civilization, the God's nation said. The people in the tavern, whether they were men or women, old or young, at this moment, they all showed extremely disdainful eyes. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed secretly. The performance of these people was quite disappointing. All creatures in the myriad of worlds should be equal. So why did the people of the central dynasty have such a sense of superiority? It Long Chen frowned. Brother. The young man in white patted Long Chen's shoulder and said with a smile, in this world, no one will reason with you because the world is like this. The strong survive. The sky cloud realm is weaker than our divine kingdom, so they should kneel at our feet and bow their heads. Long Chen raised his eyebrows without a trace. Just because the sky cloud realm was weaker than the divine kingdom, they should kneel? What kind of logic was that? These people's faces were really disgusting. I know you sympathize with them, but let me tell you, the weak don't deserve sympathy at all. Although Qin Feiyang and his people are making a lot of noise in our central dynasty, I believe that sooner or later, they will pay with their lives for this. A young man smiled confidently. Fortunately, Qin Feiyang and Long Chen's temperament was relatively stable. If it were the white-eyed wolf, he would probably start a massacre on the spot after hearing these words. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile and hurriedly waved his hand, saying, let's stop talking about this topic, lest disaster comes from the mouth. But how was this possible? Such sensational news must have spread like wildfire. Even if this news was fake, it couldn't stop people from gossiping. So, although they didn't talk loudly, they were still whispering. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen looked at each other. Since they had already gotten the answer, there was no need to stay any longer. They got up, paid the bill, and left. On the street, Long Chen smiled faintly and said, how do you feel? Feel? Qin Feiyang glanced at the passers-by. His cold eyes seemed to be looking at corpses. He secretly smiled and said, now in the Central Dynasty, no one can stop my pace and determination to overthrow the Central Dynasty. Long Chen smiled faintly. It seemed that after this understanding, Qin Feiyang had completely lost his sympathy for the people of the Central Dynasty. The Central Dynasty, they deserved it. Greetings to the two masters. When they came to the City Lord Mansion, the two guards at the door immediately bowed to salute. During the time we were away, how was Green Wind City? Long Chen pretended to ask. Other than Qin Feiyang's group of people everywhere, Green Wind City can still be considered peaceful. But, when the guard said this, he looked a little hesitant. But what? Long Chen was suspicious. Half an hour ago, the City Lord of Flying Dragon City, Dong Daqian, came to our City Lord mansion in person and said he was looking for the young City Lord. The young City Lord didn't want to see him at first. But Dong Daqian kept pestering him, so the young City Lord could only meet him. But until now, Dong Daqian hasn't come out. I don't know what's going on. The two guards said with some worry. Dong Daqian? Qin Feiyang and Long Chen looked at each other. Didn't Dong Daqian always hate Ji Xiaowu? Why did he take the initiative to come to Green Wind City to look for Ji Xiaowu? Masters, we don't have much power, so we don't dare to ask. Why don't you go and have a look? The two guards looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen pleadingly. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and asked, where are they now? They should be in the conference hall. One of the guards thought for a while and said. Okay. Don't worry, we'll go and have a look. Qin Feiyang comforted them, and then entered the City Lord mansion with Long Chen and walked unhurriedly toward the conference hall. After lurking in the City Lord mansion for so long, Qin Feiyang was quite familiar with all the places in the City Lord mansion, so he knew the location of the conference hall. After a while, a dazzling hall entered Qin Feiyang's and Li Qia's eyes. The hall was more than 10 meters high and covered an area of hundreds of feet. It was the most magnificent building in the City Lord mansion. At this time, the door was closed. Outside the gate, there were more than a dozen guards. They all held spears in their hands as they stared at the tightly shut gate. Even from afar, one could feel a sense of impatience from their bodies. It's still a tense atmosphere, Long Chen murmured and looked at the hall suspiciously. What were the two talking about in the hall? Suddenly, Long Chen turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked secretly, "Do you think Ji Xiaowu will betray us in the future?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head and added, "But I'm willing to believe in Senior Brother Lunatic's vision. I really envy Lunatic for having a brother like you who trusts him unconditionally." Long Chen laughed secretly. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, turned his head and looked at Long Chen strangely, and said suspiciously, "You don't still think of yourself as an outsider, do you?" Right now, he had 100% confidence in Long Chen. Furthermore, his trust in Long Chen had already been extremely obvious. But it seemed that this fellow hadn't sensed it. "Don't look at me like that, I'm a little flustered." Long Chen smiled. "You didn't do anything wrong, why are you flustered?" Qin Feiyang was speechless, put his hand on Long Chen's shoulder, and said with a smile, "Don't think too much, we're brothers for life. We trust you, and you can trust us. Don't be so mushy, okay? I'm having goosebumps." Long Chen mercilessly slapped away Qin Feiyang's hand, but there was a smile on the corner of his mouth. Brothers for life, this sentence was really touching. At the same time, it seemed to make him a little ashamed. During the conversation, the two walked to the front of the hall. The more than a dozen guards at the door of the Golden Cauldron didn't notice them at all. "What are you doing? So nervous?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "Who is it?" More than a dozen people suddenly quivered, and quickly turned to look at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen fiercely. But when they saw Qin Feiyang and Long Chen, more than a dozen people were stunned, and then they quickly bowed and saluted, "Greetings to the two masters." And, as if looking at their saviors, the worry on their faces immediately disappeared. "No need to be so polite." Qin Feiyang waved his hand, looked up at the hall, and asked, "What are they talking about inside?" "I don't know. Since the young city lord entered the hall, there has been no sound from inside. We guess that there may be a soundproof bounded domain inside now," a guard said. "A soundproof bounded domain?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Although Ji Xiaowu and Dong Daqian were grandfather and grandson, with the hatred between them, there was no need to set up a soundproof bounded domain. "You didn't knock on the door?" Long Chen asked. "No. Because we didn't sense the fluctuations of the battle inside." A group of guards shook their heads. "Stupid. Since there may be a soundproof bounded domain, there may be a bounded domain that blocks the fluctuations of the battle. If that's the case, even if Dong Daqian kills Ji Xiaowu inside, you won't hear anything." Qin Feiyang looked at the group of people and shouted coldly, and then strode toward the gate. Ji Xiaowu couldn't die now. And he couldn't fall into Dong Daqian's hands. Because Ji Xiaowu knew too many of their secrets. If he couldn't bear the torture and revealed their identities, there may be big trouble. At the same time, when the group of guards heard Qin Feiyang's words, their relieved hearts were in their throats again. Didn't they think of this? If something really happened to the young city lord, they would not be able to forgive them even if they died. Because the young city lord treated the guards and maids too well. He treated them as if they were his family. Qin Feiyang walked to the gate, raised his arm, and pushed the gate hard, but the gate didn't move at all, as if it was locked by something. Looking at this scene, the group of guards was even more frightened. If it was just a simple discussion, how could the gate be locked? "I'm very tired, very tired. I'll guarantee 2 tickets today." Chapter 45-57. Qin Feiyang frowned. Boom! The next moment, a terrifying power of law emerged and blasted towards the door of the main hall. Accompanied by a loud crack, the door was shattered. This infuriating scene entered Qin Feiyang and the others' line of sight. He saw an old man in his 50s sitting on the throne at the top of the hall with a domineering aura. Below, a young man in his 20s was lying on the ground dripping with blood. There was no intact part of his body. It could even be said that he was beyond recognition. Young city lord. Seeing this, a group of guards' faces suddenly changed and hurriedly rushed into the main hall. But a barrier appeared in front of them, preventing them from approaching. Dong Daqian, what did you do to the young city lord? A group of people was furious. There was indeed a barrier. It was their negligence that caused the young city lord to suffer such abuse. That's right. The two people inside were Dong Daqian and Ji Xiaowu. The one sitting on top was Dong Daqian. The one lying on the ground was Ji Xiaowu. Through the barrier, Qin Feiyang glanced at Ji Xiaowu. Ji Xiaowu's current injuries were extremely serious. Not to mention that his body was badly mutilated, his sea of qi was also shattered, and there was a fist-sized wound on his lower abdomen. Blood was gushing out, and his whole body was like a puddle of mud. Maybe even the bones in his body had been shattered. At the same time, Dong Daqian, who was sitting on top, also looked at Qin Feiyang and the others outside the door with a stunned face. He didn't expect that someone could break the door of the main hall. Because this was Green Wind City, a very small city, and the guards of the city lord mansion were not very good. Before coming, he also sent someone to investigate the city lord mansion. He knew that there were a few new consecrators in the city lord mansion. But these consecrators did not show very strong strength. Qin Dage, save me, at the same time. Ji Xiaowu heard the movement outside, turned his head weakly, looked at Qin Feiyang standing outside the door, and shouted silently. That's right. Now, he didn't even have the strength to speak. Get out of the way. Qin Feiyang said. The group of guards in front quickly retreated to the side. Following closely, Qin Feiyang stepped forward and shattered the barrier with a single palm strike. Seeing this scene, Dong Daqian's pupils shrank. How could the barrier he had set up be so easily shattered? Could it be that this person's strength was stronger than his? Young city lord. The barrier shattered. A group of guards immediately rushed towards Ji Xiaowu. However, right at this moment, Dong Daqian suddenly stood up, rushed to Ji Xiaowu, grabbed Ji Xiaowu's neck, and twisted it. What are you doing? The guards roared furiously. Dong Daqian said with a sinister smile, get out of here, or I will kill him. How dare you? The group of guards left the hall one after another. However, Qin Feiyang and Long Chen refused to budge. Master Consecrator, the young city lord is in their hands. Don't be rash. The group of guards looked at the two of them in panic. Some of them even pulled Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo back. Let go. Qin Feiyang glared at them. The people who were pulling them shrank their necks slightly and immediately let go. Qin Feiyang looked at Dong Daqian and said with a faint smile, it's really better to meet you in person than to hear about you. You are the new consecrators that this little bastard has invited? Dong Daqian sneered. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said lightly, we are old friends with his grandfather. It's really difficult for him to stay in Qingfeng City alone, so we came to help him. Dong Daqian looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo. There was no powerful aura on them. However, this person could actually shatter his barrier with a single palm strike. He must be hiding his strength. But it didn't matter. No matter how strong he was, so what? As long as Ji Xiaowu was in his hands, the other party would have to hold back. Dong Daqian said proudly, do you know who I am? How dare you go against me? Of course. Dong Daqian, the city lord of Fengyang City, Ji Xiaowu's grandfather. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Dong Daqian shouted, "How dare you block my way when you know? Get out of my way! Get out of my way! You are really audacious. Although you are the head of the direct family, as long as you come to Qingfeng City, even if you are a dragon, you have to be obedient. I advise you to let him go immediately, otherwise, don't even think about stepping out of the city lord mansion." Qin Feiyang said. Dong Daqian laughed wildly, grabbed Ji Xiaowu's hand, and suddenly exerted force. With a painful scream, Ji Xiaowu's neck was broken on the spot. "No! Consecrators, please step back first. This Dong Daqian is crazy. He will really kill the young city lord." A group of guards roared and looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen pleadingly. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen were helpless. Why did they have so little confidence in them? With them here, not to mention Dong Daqian, even the famous Dong Qingyuan would not dare to be presumptuous. Boom! All of a sudden, a terrifying divine power emerged, sweeping in all directions like a tide, and instantly enveloped Dong Daqian. Dong Daqian was immediately shocked to find that his body could not move. How could this be? How could the other party's power be so strong? Qin Feiyang did not release the will of heaven, because he also had concerns. If he released the will of heaven, it may cause unnecessary trouble. Because how could a little Ji Xiaowu invite the will of heaven to be a consecrator? But even so, Qin Feiyang's power was not something Dong Daqian could compete with. "I said that when you come to Qingfeng City, you have to coil around me." Qin Feiyang smiled contemptuously. He stepped forward and rescued Ji Xiaowu from Dong Daqian's hands. Then, he activated the law of life, and a majestic life energy poured into Ji Xiaowu's body. The injuries on his body began to heal immediately. So strong. Why? Why would such a strong person like you help a stray dog? Dong Daqian roared angrily. Qin Feiyang said, "Isn't it because of you that his family was destroyed? How dare you say that? Because of me? This is ridiculous. Who doesn't know that it was Qin Feiyang who killed Ji Daxiong and the others back then? What does it have to do with me?" Dong Daqian said angrily. "But can you deny that it was not because you forcibly separated them that Ji Daxiong's character changed? If you readily accepted Ji Daxiong and Ji Xiaowu back then, they might still be living in seclusion in the mountains, living happily together." Qin Feiyang said. Dong Daqian roared, "How can a lowly person from the collateral family be worthy of my daughter? So what if you're from the collateral family? You're just a mediocre collateral family." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Mediocre collateral is still better than lowly people like you." Dong Daqian roared. It seemed that his self-esteem had been hurt. "You keep calling me a lowly commoner. I'd like to see how powerful you, a high and mighty direct descendant, are." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed fiercely, and a monstrous pressure surged out. "No," Dong Daqian roared unwillingly and knelt on the ground on the spot, making a hole in the ground. "So what if you're a collateral family member? You're still kneeling at our feet." Qin Feiyang was disdainful. "I'll make you pay the price." Dong Daqian raised his head with difficulty and stared at Qin Feiyang like a hysterical beast. His expression was extremely ferocious. Is this the strength of the consecrator? He's too strong. The group of guards looked at each other. One had to know. This Dong Daqian had mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest law. But at this moment, in front of this consecrator, he didn't even have the strength to fight back. "Make me pay the price? Don't tell me you think you still have a chance to return to Fengyang City alive?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he slapped Dong Daqian's head. Seeing this, A guard's expression changed, and he hurriedly rushed forward, grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm, and shook his head anxiously. Consecrator, you can't kill him. Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at the guard suspiciously. The guard said in horror, Fengyang City has a powerhouse with the will of heaven. If you kill Dong Daqian now, they will come to our Green Wind City for revenge. That's right. You can't kill him. You're very strong, but you're not a match for a powerhouse with the will of heaven. The other guards also spoke one after another. See? This is the foundation of our Fengyang City. Our clan has a powerhouse with the will of heaven. He can flatten your Green Wine City with a wave of his hand. If you know what's good for you, let go of me immediately and kneel down to apologize to me. Otherwise, it will be your end. Dong Daqian laughed proudly. Kneel down and apologize, Qin Feiyang muttered, the corner of his mouth suddenly lifted slightly, and nodded, okay, I won't kill you. Are you afraid? When Dong Daqian heard this, he immediately laughed proudly. You really don't know what you're talking about. Long Chen shook his head. Why would there be such a stupid person in this world? Didn't he know that he was already half a step into the gates of hell? Did he really think that Qin Feiyang wouldn't dare to kill him? Humans. It was better to have some eyesight. Don't keep courting death. Don't be complacent. Not killing you doesn't mean that I'll let you go. How you treated Ji Xiaowu before, I'll treat you like this now. Qin Feiyang kicked him, and the power of law surged. Dong Daqian screamed miserably, and his qi shattered on the spot. Then, Qin Feiyang withdrew his pressure, grabbed Dong Daqian's hair, dragged him all the way to the center of the hall, and then threw him on the ground. He looked at the group of guards outside the door and said indifferently, help Ji Xiaowu in. The group of guards looked at each other, helped Ji Xiaowu in, and gently put him on a chair next to them. One of the guards cautiously exhorted, Sir Consecrator, you have to be gentle. Don't accidentally kill him. Your young city lord has been tortured like this, and you still keep thinking for Dong Daqian. Do you have any ambition? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Hearing this, the group of guards couldn't help but smile bitterly. They also wanted to be more ambitious and kill Dong Daqian to vent their anger for their young city lord, but there was no other way. Their strength didn't allow it. The will of heaven powerhouses in Fengyang City were like an unattainable mountain, pressing on their heads. At this time, with the help of the law of life, Ji Xiaowu finally recovered. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Qin. Boss Dong, thank you. Chapter 45-58. Because Qin Feiyang's name in the city lord mansion was Dong De. It seemed that Ji Xiaowu hadn't been beaten senseless. He knew that at the critical moment, he changed his name to Dong De. Do you feel comfortable? Qin Feiyang looked at Ji Xiaowu and asked. Yes. Ji Xiaowu nodded. Facing this majestic life energy, he felt as if he was bathing in the sun, and his whole body was extremely comfortable. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said with a dark face, I'm asking you if you feel comfortable being beaten up? Huh? Ji Xiaowu sat up straight and looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Who asked this question? How could he feel comfortable being beaten up so badly? I think you're asking for it. You know that Dong Daqian hates you to the core, but you still let him into the city lord mansion. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. How would I know that he would be so bold to hit me in my territory? Ji Xiaowu sighed and lowered his head, his face full of regret. Your territory? It's just Green Wind City. He's just the head of a direct family. Why would he care about it? Qin Feiyang shook his head. This kid was still too naive. Enough. He just got beaten up. There's no need to keep teaching him. Long Chen waved his hand and looked at Ji Xiaowu, asking, "Why did Dong Daqian come to you?" "Heard." Ji Xiaowu looked at Dong Daqian with a trace of gloating on his face. Looking at Ji Xiaowu's expression, Qin Feiyang and Long Chen were puzzled. What was going on? He was beaten up so badly, but he still gloated over Dong Daqian's misfortune. "What are you looking at? No matter how poor my Fengyang city is, it's not something your Green Wind city can compare to." Dong Daqian sneered. Qin Feiyang looked at the two guards standing behind Dong Daqian and said lightly, "Shut him up." "Us?" The two of them pointed at their noses and said in shock. "Or do you want us to do it ourselves?" Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Why was he so timid? He dared to let Dong Daqian into the city lord mansion, but he didn't dare to beat him up. The two of them continued to dawdle. He really didn't dare to make a move. "Do you dare?" Dong Daqian looked at the two of them with a sneer. Their pupils shrank. "With the consecrator here, what are you afraid of? Beat him up!" Ji Xiaowu shouted. Young city lord, their eyes trembled as they looked at Ji Xiaowu. "There's nothing to be afraid of. Aren't you just a powerhouse with will of the heavenly Tao? Our Green Wind city's current strength is not weak either. Beat him up if he dares," Ji Xiaowu said. Hearing this, the two of them gritted their teeth, stepped forward, raised their arms, and slapped Dong Daqian one after another. Slap. The sound of slapping was rhythmic, crisp and pleasing to the ears. "You're all courting death, I won't let you off. Just you wait for my revenge," Dong Daqian roared. Slapped by two guards? Moreover, he was a pariah of the collateral family. To him, the head of the main family, it was simply a great humiliation. Revenge, is it? The two guards' blood was also stimulated. They shouted, "Since you want to take revenge on us, then let's beat him up first. A slap from you, a slap from me, without any mercy." Dong Daqian's face was lacerated in just a few rounds, and blood splattered everywhere. "Ah!" Dong Daqian roared angrily. But it was useless. The two guards' strength was getting heavier and heavier. "Stop hitting him. I beg you, just let me off this time because I'm Ji Xiaowu's grandfather." This was very realistic. He was still shouting before, but now that he was beaten beyond recognition, he began to beg for mercy to gain sympathy. "Grandfather? Although we're just guards, we've watched the young city lord grow up since he was a child. You old man, have you ever treated him as your own grandson?" Not only these two guards, but the group of onlookers also suddenly swarmed up and punched and kicked Dong Daqian, causing him to wail in pain. If it weren't for the two words grandfather, they wouldn't be so angry in their hearts. What the hell? How did you treat your own grandson in the past? Now you want to curry favor with me? Phew. Looking at the screaming Dong Daqian, the anger in Ji Xiaowu's heart subsided a little. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Chen and said, "Dong Daqian came to me because of Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian." Qin Feiyang and Long Chen looked at each other. This answer was really unexpected. Why was it related to the inner demons and big cousin? Didn't I happen to meet these two lords when I went to Fengyang City last time? At that time, not only did they help me, but they also let me become a reserve member of the Death God Legion's 10th team. Maybe it's because these two lords can't stand Dong Daqian's behavior, so when they recruited members of the Death God Legion, they excluded Fengyang City. Ji Xiaowu explained. Excluded Fengyang City? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Now, all the powerhouses of the direct family in the Central Dynasty have entered the 10th team of the Death God Legion, except for Dong Daqian's family. In other words, none of Dong Daqian's family members have entered the 10th team. Ji Xiaowu said. So that's the case. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen suddenly understood. When the inner demons and Lu Jiajin took over the 10th team, because of Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong's obstruction, the direct family members didn't like the two of them. However, as the inner demons gradually showed their strength, the direct family members didn't dare to be presumptuous anymore. They even had the intention to curry favor with them. Especially this time. Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan lost their positions as the Legion Commander and Deputy Legion Commander, and became the watchdogs guarding the gate of the imperial capital mountain. Although the Emperor hadn't officially appointed the inner demons to take over the Death God Legion, it wasn't difficult to see from the Emperor's attitude toward them that there was a great possibility that they would become the Legion Commander and Deputy Legion Commander. So now, the prestige and status of the two in the Central Dynasty were like the sun in the sky. Of course, the direct family members weren't stupid. If they didn't curry favor now, when would they wait? As the inner demons and Lu Jiajin's status continued to rise, the most anxious person was of course Dong Daqian. Because the other direct family members had already established a friendly relationship with the inner demons and Lu Jiajin, but their family didn't. Long Chen suspiciously said, for this kind of thing, he should go directly to Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian, but why did he come to you? He's been there. He's been there several times. And every time he went, he prepared a big gift. But Lord Lu Yunfeng and Lord Lu Yuntian didn't want to see him at all. So he thought of coming to me. Because he also realized that it might be related to what happened last time. Of course, I wouldn't agree to help him, so he became angry and kept torturing me to force me to agree. Ji Xiaowu sneered. I see. Qin Feiyang and Long Chen nodded in understanding. Old man, you came to ask for help, and you're still so arrogant? The group of guards heard this and became even angrier. Not only did they hit harder, but they also hit harder. How could there be such a shameless old man in the world? Crack. One by one, Dong Daqian's bones were broken and then shattered. The pain was heart-wrenching. Does it feel good? Now we'll treat you the same way you treated our young city lord. And we'll double it. They were no longer afraid of Dong Daqian. Because in their view, even Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng, the two lords, were helping their young city lord, so what were they afraid of? I beg you, please stop fighting. I really can't stand it. Please have mercy on me. Dong Daqian screamed weakly. You still have the strength to shout? It seems that the strength is not enough. Use more strength. A guard sneered. Seeing that the group of guards didn't move at all, Dong Daqian looked at Ji Xiaowu in despair and cried, Xiaowu, my good grandson, I was wrong. Ask them to stop, however. Ji Xiaowu's face was cold. If it were in the past, he might sympathize with him. But the moment he learned that his mother was dead, all the thoughts in his heart were shattered. Only disgust and hatred for Dong Daqian were left. My good grandson, Dong Daqian was extremely desperate. Shut up. In the past, although you often insulted me and even let people beat me up, in fact, I've always wanted to have you as my grandfather. For countless days and nights in the past, I really hoped that one day, when I stood outside your house, you would affectionately call me your grandson and hold my hand to enter your house. But now, these hopes have been completely destroyed. Don't blame me for being ruthless because this is because you personally destroyed the last trace of hope in my heart. Ji Xiaowu said coldly, without any sympathy or pity in his eyes. The so-called family and bloodline were worthless in his eyes now. People only needed to be strong enough. For example, Lu Yunfeng and Lu Yuntian were not even considered collateral family members. They were just outsiders from the 4 great continents, but because of their strength, they were highly regarded by the emperor and became giants in the central dynasty. Then there were people like Qin Feiyang and the others. They were all invaders from the sky cloud realm. But so what? If they were strong enough, they would still be able to make a name for themselves in the central dynasty. They would still be able to strike fear and despair into the hearts of countless people in the central dynasty. In the central dynasty, who would dare to face the people who got rid of the emperor capital mountain? Even if they were standing in front of you, you wouldn't dare to attack. A guard stopped and looked at Dong Daqian, who was lying on the ground. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes and he turned to Ji Xiaowu. Young city lord, since we've already offended him, why don't we just kill him? Kill, Ji Xiaowu murmured, looked down at Dong Daqian and shook his head. Don't kill him. What? Don't kill him? The group of guards was stunned. If they didn't kill him now, wouldn't it be the same as letting the tiger go back to the mountain? Don't kill him. Ji Xiaowu shook his head and his attitude was firm. But, the group of guards hurriedly tried to persuade him, but before they could say anything, Ji Xiaowu waved his hand and said, I've made up my mind. You've beaten him up enough. Just throw him out of the city lord's mansion. Okay. The group of guards nodded helplessly and dragged Dong Daqian, who was like a dead dog, out of the mansion. Wherever they went, they would leave a conspicuous bloodstain on the ground. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.